Okay. Good afternoon, good evening, your preference. City Council, Calexico Community Redevelopment Agency, Successor Agency, Calexico Finance Authority, regular meeting, today, October the 16th. It is now 6:34 here at the Fernando Nene Torres Council Chambers. City Attorney?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council met in closed session. Items A and C were removed from the closed session agenda. Item B was discussed, direction was given, no reportable action was taken. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we go forward, I want to thank the Baja Runners for being here present. The intent here is due to the accident, one of our own, Jorge Loaiza, who was known as Dr. Pollo. But if anything, he was a husband, he was a father, he was a brother and sister and son. He was a good friend of mine, and his wife, who's not present here tonight, is a close friend as well of the family. So I'm asking for everybody to just a moment of silence in his honor. Thank you. Pollo, no doubt you deserved a lot more than this. You will be missed, but know you'll always be remembered. I understand, Mr. Tirado, you have some few words. What's that? Oh. No,
We the Calexico Baja Runners, we lost a good friend, a good brother, a good citizen. As a matter of fact, he just became a U.S. citizen to vote November the 6th. He wasn't able to make it, but he'll be judging from over there. We, the Baja Runners, right now, we acknowledge to the family the endurance that they're going through right now, their sufferings, okay? We surely, our condolences to them for that. And we acknowledge and we want to thank the City Council, the administration, and you, the public here today, to give this recognition to this man. To us, Jorge was Doc, D-O-C, period, Doc. One of our best outstanding members from our group. And so, our boys over here, would you please stand up? The Baja Runners, please stand up, okay? Okay. Yeah. These guys, let me tell you, they do everything for this community, for scholarships. You name it, whatever it is, they're there, okay? Even to help out right now, special campaigns going on. Again, on behalf of the Baja Runners, Mr. Mayor, the staff, the City Council, the audience here today, thank you very much. We're grateful.
Thank you, Mr. Tirado. Again, thank you once again for taking the time to be with us here today as a small tribute to Jorge, or to Doc, as everybody knows him. Before we continue, if we can stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Tirado, if you could please lead us.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah. Sir, let's do the... Mr., okay, wait, Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Moreno, second by Councilman Hodge. Please press the button to display your vote. Passes unanimously, 5-0. Baja Runners, you're more than welcome to stay, unless you prefer to step out. You want to stay on? Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to go to, oh, okay. Okay, we'll go to public comments now. Not to exceed 3 minutes. I will ask Councilman Moreno to keep a tab of the minutes at 2 minutes, 30 seconds. You'll be reminded you have 30 seconds to go. Also note that this is a time period where you can make comments as well on the closed, not the closed session, but the consent calendar agenda items. This is a time for the public to address the council on any item not appear in the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name for the record. While members of the public are encouraged to participate, it is unlawful to disturb or delay the council meeting with personal or slanderous remarks. Please direct your questions and comments to the City Council. Presentation? No, ya lo hizo. Okay. Mr. Oscar Gonzalez.
Can I say something off the record for Baja Runners?
Yes, sir, you may.
Okay. You know, when I was a football player and basketball player, Rene Brown, Frankie Ramos, Tayo Ibarra, who passed away, I was made Player of the Week. We won the championship when I was a senior in basketball. Freshman, we were 13-1. I played against Ron Jesse, who later played for the Rams as a wide receiver in Detroit. And he was a heck of a rebounder, but Kratzer told us triple team, Hector Burgos was 5'11", I was 5'11", Kiki Camarena was 5'9". We used to triple, and anyway, we would fall in out, and we beat Yuma twice. Anyway, 2030, which is probably an extension of Baja 500, have always, and even before I was a player, they've been involved. I don't know when it started, 1950, or maybe the late 40s. Tayo Ibarra, Mandy Nunez, where's Chalo? His father, he was very active in your dad was very active. And many people, Arnold Brown, the Brown family, I don't know if the Carrillos were ever 2030s, I don't think so. They were bourgeois, they were middle class, cremitas. Okay, I'm gonna start now, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
You know what? I want to come home. You know, I've been an activist all of my life. I remember when I went to UCSB the first year, I got sucked in at student hall. No, I forgot what the name of the hall. And we were in there. They had computers, and I thought I was dumb then. And I was there for 17 days, and I peed and I crapped. But you know what? We got Chicano studies. Black and Mexican players played football. And as a result of that, we got arrested, but Counselor, who was a Jewish lawyer, took us out that night. So I want to come home today. I'm going to stop giving the city council a rough time because I played marbles with you. I never took it personal, even with you, Mr. Romero. I want to endorse tonight Mr. Romero for city council. I want to endorse Mr. Moreno and Luis Castro. I think you guys have done a tremendous job. Highly educated, Mr. Moreno. Mr. Romero, I think you, and even Maritza and Mr. Hodge, I think the attorney and also Oscar, I don't think anybody should get fired. I don't think Oscar should get fired. I don't think the city attorney should get fired. I don't think Roslyn should get fired. I don't think Nick Servin should get fired. I think we should work as a team. You know, let's stop. You know what happens. I feel a lot of tension tonight, but I don't give a rat's ass. Oscar Gonzalez came home today. I'm gonna support you guys 100%. My kids gave me a rough time when I got arrested, not because I misbehaved. I got arrested because I drove without a license. And I'm supporting you guys 100%. I think you guys merit respect. When we fight, I fought with my wife for 32 years, but we had 3 kids. And I think when you guys fight, who suffers? The community. The community suffers. As a result of that, we lose energy in 3-2. The bottom line, you have to be a didactic erudite. You have to be highly educated to understand the significance and the platitude of our community. I think Mr. Hermosillo is going to do good, Mr. Kim, but I don't think they're going to come close. I think you guys, there's no seats open. Even if they paint you as the devil, Mr. Romero, I could be painted as the devil too, you know, very, very readily. But in conclusion, I wish everybody good luck, and may the guy that works the hardest, he or she is going to win. And the same thing for the school board. I think everybody deserves support. I wish nobody had to run. I wish God would appoint you, but it's not realistic. And I wish everybody the best, and may you all win. And even if you lose, if you get 300 votes, you represent 300 people. So I know that I'm speaking tonight to Calexico residents, and I'm speaking to the audience that captures, you know, I've never seen myself on channel 10 every at 6 o'clock. I've been told by many people, even managers. I know the manager of Walmart, McDonald's, Irene said, Oscar, I'd love to hear you talk, English or Spanish. I said, why? Because you speak the truth. And you may cuss, but freedom of speech. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez, and welcome home.
Thank you.
Next, Luis Casillas.
I believe that Rudy Alarcon is also on the list, and he's the president of the association. I would like for him to go first. If that's okay with you?
It's the same,
Yeah,
go
but
ahead.
there, you've done exceptions before, so I don't see what's,
Nobody's asking for an exemption right now.
go on.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to represent the Calexico Police Officer Association. Okay, we're here to address, last council meeting, Mayor Romero brought up some issues in regards to the campaign that we are currently conducting, and we'd like to clear up some points. The banner in question is here before you guys, and obviously vandalized and torn down. And the reason we did that, I want you all to understand.
President of CPOA, Rudy Alarcon, can you please, Mr. Casillas? Yes, sir. Can you bring that banner back? I want you to clarify which is the part that has been vandalized.
I'm sorry, which is the part? I think
I know, I
anyone-
just need, you need for clarification. Some people did not see the banner.
Yes. Would you allow me to speak, please, and not interrupt me? You've made me lose
I want to
my
make it
train of
very
thought.
clear which is the part that has been vandalized.
I think you can see for yourself, Mr.
No, the people have not seen it.
Please do not interrupt me.
Mr. Casillas, point out what has been vandalized.
Well, you can clearly see the tears where it's been torn down.
Okay,
You can clearly see
Please.
there's been some spray paint.
okay,
Mr. Romero,
okay.
we're not here to engage you. We're here.
Oh, you're not?
We're here to have for an explanation for what you displayed up in the projection screen, for something
Okay.
that you brought into council chambers.
Yes, I did. Go
If
ahead.
you recall, we never brought this in here. I think the people deserve an explanation.
That's why they were given an explanation last week, so go ahead and give yours.
Please don't interrupt me. Be courteous and professional,
You want me to be courteous and professional?
as I am to
Okay,
you.
go ahead,
sir.
Mr. Alarcon. Go ahead.
Anyway, so this banner, it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor for someone, as you mentioned in your explanation last council, you were endorsed by the Calexico Police Officer Association in 2008. We endorsed Daniel Romero, a person that we believed was of character, a person we believed to be of integrity, a person we believe would represent our community for its best interest. In these 4 years, you have shown to be the complete opposite of that. As a politician, this campaign is not against Daniel Romero. This campaign is against the politician that you have become, a politician that is willing to sacrifice his character, a politician who is immoral. That's who we have a campaign against.
Okay.
The reason we say this, and we'll be more than happy to offer you an explanation, is Mr. Romero, as you may not know, supported the placement of a pornography store on Imperial Avenue, on our main thoroughfare. 1 block from Our Lady of Guadalupe, 1 block from an elementary school where children are present. Now, we might all think a pornography store might not be such a big deal. It's just a store. But that pornography store represents a sex industry that exploits women and children. And that's something that you, as a politician, have placed in our city, in a school, next to a church. And that's why we're doing this campaign. We're doing this campaign to expose your actions as a politician, not as a person who we thought you were. That's why we have launched this campaign against you.
Okay, sir. You've done your 3 minutes.
Excuse
Mr.
me?
You've had your 3 minutes. Mr. Casillas?
Thank you for your time.
There's a couple other reasons. You made us out to be a bunch of thugs. vigilantes, which we are not. As you know, and the council knows, and the city knows, for the past 4 years, our association has done our share in keeping the city afloat. We've taken over $1.5 million in concessions. That's clearly affected all of my members and their families. This association is just not two people. It's the Police Officers Association, the Calexico Police Officers Association, Mr. Romero. So it's just not two. You voted against Measure H. Measure H has also kept the city afloat for the past 4 years. You were the only vote. The measure was brought to by ex-mayor David Olzon, supported by Mr. Moreno, Mr. Castro, Mr. Hermosillo. You were the only one that voted against it. If it weren't for that measure, the city would be in the red in the past 4 years. So we are not these goons that you make us out to be. But you know what? The real goon is the person who sends out a little squad out there to destroy people's political signs. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it is our right. It is our right to have our signs out there. That is what the democratic society calls for. This is our way to keep checks and balances within the city council and within the public. And if you don't like it, all you have to do is close your eyes, drive past it, or leave it alone. But for you to make calls and order your goons.
Calls?
Calls.
Goons?
Goons.
You're going plural.
Goons. Your little
Interesting.
squad, okay? Because we do have the recording where you did make a call and ordered for those signs to go down. Now, I don't know if you did it or they did it or not, but how coincidental that 2 days later our signs are on the floor and they're vandalized.
I didn't know it was that influential, but go ahead.
Well, apparently you are, okay? So we have lost total confidence in you and the ability to lead and the ability to work well with others. And it's not Mr. Moreno, it's not Mr. Castro, it's not Mr. Bill Hodge, it's not Mr. Kim, it's not Willie Hermosillo. This is the Calexico Police Officers Association. And let's make that clear. And here we are before you today looking you in the eye. So thank you very much. I hope that all you hear come November, no on Romero.
Since we're in a roll, Gabriel Rodriguez.
My name is Gabriel Rodriguez. I'm a board member for the Calexico POA. And I wish to donate my time to Officer Alarcon. I'm sorry, Real Alarcon.
Some more of you. Okay.
I'm sorry, I know you must not be pleased by our presence, but
Well,
it is our
it's-
right. We do live in a democratic society.
And I would rather hear from Gabriel to share his comments.
I'm sorry, but it's not up to you who you hear.
All right. So when I hear the words coming out of your mouth, then I'm actually listening to Gabriel. Go ahead.
If that's what you like to think, Mr. Romero.
No, that's
feel
what
free
it
to
is.
feel that.
That's why you're here and speaking in his behalf.
Well, anyway, for those of you who do support Mr. Romero, I invite you to examine your thoughts. I invite you to think that every time you walk to promote him, every time you knock on a door, you're promoting that pornography store which he supported, that pornography store that is there because of his vote. That's what you're supporting. Thank you. Another thing that I'd like to mention, I know some people are out there saying that we have been doing this campaign, nobody knows who's doing it. Well, here we are, it's us. I know there's also some radio advertisement that you guys have heard, and I'll play it for you so that you know it's us.
Detengamos el abuso del poder político en el concilio de Calexico y di no a Daniel Romero. Él se opuso a la medida H, la cual ayuda a promover el deporte y nuestros jóvenes, personas de la tercera edad y nuestra seguridad pública. Di no a Daniel Romero. Él removió de su puesto a Luis Castro y luego tomó el cargo para abusar de su poder. Él aprobó el establecimiento de un negocio de pornografía a una cuadra de una escuela y una iglesia. Esto no es un ejemplo de moral y principios. Di no a Daniel Romero.
Este mensaje es pagado por la Asociación de Policías de Calexico.
That's us.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will play one more audio recording so that when it's played, you know that is our association behind us.
Ayúdanos a a limpiar del abuso del poder político en el Concilio de Caléxico y di no a Daniel Romero. Él aprobó el establecimiento de un negocio de pornografía a una cuadra de una escuela y una iglesia. Esto representa un peligro para todos nuestros hijos. Ya basta de irresponsabilidad y de inmoralidad de ese alcalde de Caléxico. Di no a Daniel Romero. Este 6 de noviembre, vota no a Daniel Romero.
Este mensaje es pagado por la Asociación de Policías de Caléxico.
Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your time. I thank you for your consideration. I know not everybody agrees with our thoughts, but it's something to think about. Thank you for your time.
Okay, Supervisor District 1, John Renison. And you'll do a follow-up on that one.
I'll do the best I can. Honorable City Council, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to come here occasionally. As you know, I've promised to come to the council every couple of months to give an update on what's going on. As you know, I represent District 1, that's all of Calexico and Winter Haven, with the exception of the northeast part of Calexico from Bowker to Andrade, and from the All-American Canal to Cole Road and beyond, that would be District 5, just a clarification. So actually, you have two supervisors in Calexico, Mr. Castillo and myself, which is the first time in history that that's happened, and that is a good thing. We continue the work hard on the expansion of the port of entry, both downtown and the east port. I did receive a phone call today from the office of Loretta Sanchez, and they continue the dialogue with Janet Napolitano, the Homeland Security Secretary, in our favor. So this is one of the few times that we've actually got their attention, and it was due to a letter that we penned about 2 months ago, and it was brought to the attention of the Secretary. She was totally blindsided, and she had to actually do something to respond. So at least we're on their radar. Mark Bassa from the Imperial County Transportation Commission. Mr. Hodge, you know him well, you serve on the commission, and I think I wrote an email to all of the council members that it's imperative and important that Mr. Hodge continue to attend those meetings, because many times money is left on the table. And if the cities don't ask for it or don't put their pitch in, you're bypassed. So it's very important that Mr. Hodge continue to serve on that commission. And Mr. Hodge, thank you for being there on a consistent basis. I wanted to also mention that I attended a meeting in Tijuana last week. Mr. Romero was there, also called Tijuana Innovadora. Didn't apply too much to our region, but more border issues as far as Tijuana being a center of innovation logistics. You probably read an article in the San Diego Union about that today, where Christine Lund, who's head of the Cali Baja organization, was kind of talking a little bit about the benefit of the border region and the binational. San Diego is now waking up that they have a neighbor in Tijuana. Calexico's known Mexicali for years, so we're way ahead of them in that sense, but we do have to capitalize on it, and we have to use Mexicali to our advantage as much as we can. The expansion of the downtown port to three additional pedestrian crossings is still in the offing. I can't give you any specifics on that. The last thing I wanted to tell you was that Chris Maston is no longer the Director of Field Operations for Customs. He has been promoted to Washington, D.C. headquarters, which might be a good thing, I don't know. And he's now directly under the Assistant Commissioner, Tom Winkowski. So the only good positive about that, I think, is that he started out in Calexico as a customs agent back in the 70s, worked alongside David Salazar and other locals, so he does know the area. So hopefully we will get his ear. The Board of Supervisors will be traveling to Washington once again in March to meet with Customs, Homeland Security, et cetera. Obviously, the city is invited to join us on that lobbying trip. And the only other thing I might mention is that the Congress of Mexico has appointed both their senatorial and congressional border heads in the Congress. And David Perez Tejada is on one of those committees. As you know, he's from Mexicali. So we just need to capitalize on all those contacts we have, and I'll be coming to the city on occasion asking for letters of support and letters of endorsement for the different things the counties are involved in. One final thing, if I could just take 30 more seconds. The solar project west of Calexico, 8 miles, Centinela, will bring some tax dollars to the Unified School District, the Imperial Valley College District, and the Heffernan Memorial District. I've had that conversation with some of you. That's a given. That's automatic. And then, at a later date, sometime next year, we will have public benefit fees starting to come in from that project as well that will benefit Calexico specifically. I only bring up that project because that's the one closest to Calexico. But currently, we have 26 projects in the pipeline to the county. Not, that doesn't mean there's going to be 26 projects in the county, but there's a very good possibility. Mr. Othello.
I missed the name.
Centinela Solar. It's the one on Mount Signal. You go east about 8 or 10 miles, look to your left, Pulliam Road. Does everybody know where?
Yeah.
Right there. You just look and you'll see a red tent. And it's a tremendous layout by the All-American Canal and by Mount Signal. So that's going to be a big boon to those three agencies I talked about. Plus, it created about 350 jobs for our area. And that's the whole point. We're trying to create jobs. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Renison?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Castro has a question.
Yes.
Yes, I have a question. You mentioned about the expansion of the pedestrian roads for the
Downtown.
Downtown. I don't get that. Is that gonna be before December, or I
No.
think you mentioned
No.
the next visit to Washington is gonna be on March?
Correct. That's a March visit we always do, Mr. Castro,
So
every
that's-
March.
So that means it's not gonna be nothing? It's not gonna happen to this year, right?
I don't know. There's a possibility that they might start before the end of the year, but I kind of doubt it, because right now, everything is at a standstill because the Congress hasn't been elected yet, and as you know, nothing happens in Washington until after the new administration comes in. So I don't think so. But the good news is that the money that they're looking for on those 3 pedestrian lanes is money within CBP that they already have. So it's just a matter of the CBP people putting a priority in that and funding it, because the money is there. That's all I can really tell you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much, Mr. Renson.
Thank you very much.
Esther Gomez.
Hello, I'm Esther Gomez. I'm a resident of Calexico. Very soon, our city will welcome those citizens that will represent us as a city council. Among those running for such office, we know whose strong roots of values and principles will hold and protect our city against the challenges and changes we face ahead. Roots are not easily visible, but a person's value, honesty, and character can't be hidden. On our coming elections, we must look beyond words and propaganda, written flyers and posters. We must look for character, for values, for roots, for an individual who is able to hold the needs, concerns, and well-being of our citizens in his hands. This individual is Daniel Romero. Please vote November 6th. And remember, for a vote for the city council to go through, it takes a minimum of 3. So please do not just put one single individual as being the party that something went through. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gomez. Thank you. Mark Bassa, Imperial Valley Procurement Fair.
Thank you, Mayor and council members, for the opportunity. I just wanted to give an announcement about a procurement fair that will be held at the Barberworth Hotel on November 15th. And some of you might ask, what is a procurement fair? It's quite similar to a job fair, but it's an opportunity for small businesses to learn about procurement opportunities with large public agencies like IID, Caltrans, Naval Air Station El Centro. It will be free to businesses that would like to come to this event. There's also opportunities for businesses to set a table for themselves to present themselves to the potential agencies. There'll be a number of agencies that are sponsoring it. IBEDC has taken the Imperial Valley Economic Development Corporation has taken a heavy load to promote this event. We are sponsors. The California Small Business Development Council is a sponsor, And I will leave some flyers on the table in the back in case any of the businesses that you become aware, or if your small businesses would like to contact me, I will give more information. So November 15th, Thursday, at the Barberworth Hotel. Thank you.
Thank you. Halloween, Diana Daniels. Tongue twister there.
I can start? Hi, everyone. I'm Diana Daniels. I'm one of the volunteers at the Calexico Animal Shelter. Just want to get everybody up to speed on what's going on. Mark this date on your calendars, October 27th, 8 to 10 o'clock in the morning. We're having an event right outside of here. It's called Halloween. It's a Halloween event for kids and dogs and costumes, adults who want to act like kids, whatever you want to do. It's going to be a good time. So just come support this. Also, we have raffle tickets on sale at the library, 3 for $10 or 1 for $4. We're going to be raffling off a Samsung Galaxy. It's a tablet. We have a bunch of gift cards and also some baskets. Also, if you attend Chili's anywhere from October 22nd to 24th and you bring a flyer, which I will bring tomorrow, I didn't make copies yet, you will, all the proceeds from that, when you bring a flyer, will go towards the animal shelter. It's 15% of those total sales are going to go there, which is amazing. Also, I need donations. I need fruits. I need water. I need Gatorades. Those people who are running for office, for re-election, or for a new seat, I encourage you guys to come out here. You know, bring your booth, your tables, pamphlets, whatever you want to do. Just FYI, we have 700 members right now on Facebook. That's 700 more votes. Can help you guys out. I don't know. I'm just saying. You know, and I'm just saying. This event, I believe, is going to bring business to Calexico. Isn't this what it's about? Bring business to Calexico, make people buy stuff here? I think so. Also, you know, if you want to register, go on active.com. You can register. The race costs $25, includes a wonderful T-shirt, so please register. Right now, we have over 50 volunteers at the shelter. Most are high school students who are looking to belong to somewhere or something. I'm very excited about this because I get to talk to a bunch of students from high school who tell me, you know what, it's because of the shelter I can actually come out Saturdays and Sundays and hang out with you. I think that's pretty great. I don't know about you guys. I think it's awesome. So really encourage that. Also, people who are running for office and for re-election keep saying, I care about Calexico, I care about this, I care about that. Really, do you? Show me. Show me. Come sponsor us, come volunteer, sell some tickets, show up, register, run, walk, crawl, whatever you want to do. Participate. Make it big. Done. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. Reaching out to shelters, Beatriz Sayas.
Hi, Beatriz Sayas, and on a lighter note, I'm here tonight to urge the City Council and City Administration to follow up on 2 great opportunities for the Calexico Animal Shelter, which are free of cost. The first opportunity comes from the Helen Woodward Center in Rancho Santa Fe, operating budget roughly $25 million. In their annual IAMS Home for the Holidays, which is a nationwide campaign that helps animals, in this case, the Calexico animals, to get adopted. And in addition to that, participating shelters may receive food and money from the IAMS corporations. It takes 2 minutes to register online or by phone, but it has to be a city official, in this case, whoever's in charge of the animal shelter. The second opportunity comes from the new president and CEO for the San Diego Humane Society, operating budget roughly of $30 million, who receive additional monies for a new transport program, which they go and rescue animal shelters from nearby animal shelters. When I told him about the fabulous job that Diana and their volunteers are doing, he got interested and he moved Calexico to, not the top of the list, but given priority. And Sarah Thompson has made contact with Diana. She has her number. However, they still need to speak to a city official. Again, the person who's in charge of releasing animals. And contact information has been provided to the city manager, the chief of police, and Diana Daniels. And I'm here urging you to support both collaborations. They will open the doors for the city with these 2 established and successful organizations. Thank you.
Thank you, Beatriz. Danny Fitzgerald, Chamber updates.
Good evening, Danny Fitzgerald. I'm here as the treasurer of the Calexico Chamber of Commerce. Just wanted to come in, as I try and do every month, and be able to give a couple of updates. The first one I actually want to talk about is also somewhat city-related, and that's an update in terms of the campaign for the JSF F-35 Strike Force. Military acronyms. But basically, that effort's continuing, it's ongoing, and there's been a lot of support. There was a contingency from the county that went back to Washington earlier this month. That was Supervisor Terrazas, former Calexico city manager, now city manager for City of Imperial, Marlene Best, and some other members of the community. And they were able to start getting the word out. There's been some good information that's been put out. I brought some simple two-pager that was put together by the committee that kind of shows some of the update, and of course listed on there is the City of Calexico and their support, which has been invaluable. You saw probably an article in today's paper from the Ivy Press. That's something that's going to be coming up. The one thing that makes Imperial Valley stand out is the unified support of our community. That's something that Lemoore does not have. We recognize that this is a huge opportunity for every aspect, every city, every citizen of Imperial Valley, and so that's something that's really standing out. So I wanted to provide that information and provide that update, since City of Calexico did provide financial support to that, and that's something the joint chambers are spearheading.
I'm sorry, Danny, so this has not been, they haven't made a decision yet, right?
No. Where that's at is that there is going to be an environmental impact statement that's coming out from the federal government. That was scheduled to come out this fall, but as we've heard, there's an election coming up, so of course everything's on hold until January. It's anticipated that Lemoore will be the recommended, because one is they're already pretty much there, and that they have already finished what they call their joint land use study. That's now underway. That was just recently approved by the county to do this study, and so that's something that then can put us back into the running. But there's basically, it's between us and Lemoore. So. Couple other things, just very briefly. On October 30th, supported by the Calexico Chamber of Commerce, the City of Calexico, the Calexico County Enterprise Zone, and many others, there's the Center for International Trade Development, and the U.S. Department of Commerce is having an event at the Carnegie Technology Center in the morning. I have some information on that as well. That's an opportunity for businesses to learn about how to establish operations in the United States. It's a program put together by the U.S. Department of Commerce on that. And so there's some additional information on that. And a lighter one, simple, there is, of course, I talked about this last month, but on November 1st, there's the Calexico Chamber Mixer at Hot Rods and Beer in Hopeville, who's one of our members. So I'll have some information in the back on that. And last but not least, the Calexico Chamber of Commerce has started working with the city and with the Desert Valley Bandits, and we're putting together the Christmas parade, of course, for December, and want to thank the city, of course, for that ongoing support.
December 1st?
No. It is December 8th.
You said
No.
the 1st of December.
We've already started, so I apologize. It is December 8th is the Christmas parade.
The second Saturday in December.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald. Okay, AT&T and code enforcement, Ben Horton.
First off, I want to say it takes a lot to sit up here, and I have to commend all of you for sitting here, especially Mr. Romero, and also the Police Association. This is a fine example of what our democracy is about. I applaud both of the sides. One of the things that I wanted to bring forth is that I was sitting in the office, and I was sitting the other day, and the fire department had required us for Charlie Home on 121 Birch Street to comply with their request for a fire system. Of course, I complied with it. Even though it costs about close to $5,000, I complied with it. Then it comes up that they cannot finish the work, AT&T, because the city will not let them finish the work. And I asked, what's going on here? Don't you have a utility, an easement, and the franchise tax board says that you can do this? Yes, we do, but yet the city will not let us finish the work. But yet the fire department requires us to do this, but yet we couldn't finish. So being the nice person that I am, I called Mr. Savine, and he got the word out, and we got the work finished. But the reason I'm up here is that I feel some of our staff members needs to know what an easement is and what they have to comply with when it comes to a utility easement. AT&T could not finish the work for almost a year in the city of Calexico because somebody said you had to have a permit to comply with it. Now, I think everybody knows that a utility, or if we don't know, utility in easement says that, like IID and the gas company, you have certain rights in order to finish the work. And I'm not complaining about anything. What I'm saying is that maybe our staff or certain members of the staff need a class on 101 in easement and utility in easement. That is what I'm saying. And I think it's something that we should look at, because if it happened this one time, and I knew about it, and I knew what the requirements were, I made sure that it was open. And I gotta say, within 15 minutes, and the next day, the AT&T was finishing the work. And I must commend Mr. Servine, because he made things happen. And for that, I commend the staff of the city of Calexico. But yet, maybe certain staff members need to have a refresher or a course in what the requirements are for the utilities and an easement. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Horton. Thank you, Mr. Servine, for making it happen. American Cancer Society, Silvia Bernal.
Good evening. I'm this year's chairperson for the Relay for Life, and I'm here to invite you this coming Friday. We are having an event with Consulado and with Mujeres que Viven from Mexicali. The event will start at 9:30 in the morning at the Consulado, and we will walk to the port of entry, and the dignitaries from the Mexicali will be there, along with the dignitaries from Calexico. And what we're going to do to show that we are united in force for breast cancer, we will let balloons fly off. It's going to be a beautiful ceremony. And then afterwards, we will come back to the parking lot next to the orthopedic clinic, and we're going to have a health fair. Everybody is invited to attend. We will meet at 9:30, as I mentioned, at the Consulado, and try to wear pink. I know it's kind of hard for the men to want to wear pink, but it's really sending a message that you care about breast cancer. And I just want to let all the men know that we have a lot of breast cancer in men now. So we need your support. Thank you, and I'll get these invitations to Erica. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bernal. Okay, that's it for the public speaker portion. We'll now go to general comments by council members. The items for item number 7 will be discussed during item number 7. Mr. Hodge.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, a few items here, or reports. One, just a little bit of an update, general knowledge, information on the New River Committee. I need to highly commend our Executive Director, Miguel Figueroa. He is doing an outstanding job. He's giving us constantly reports, and Supervisor Renison has been a great help. And he is doing, on a very comprehensive outreach to the key stakeholders and public on the New River strategic plan. So you can rest assured that we're working forward on that, and he's doing an excellent job. He's also working with the city and Mr. Servine and City Manager, Mr. Rodriguez, and he just submitted recently an expense report, and so everything is above board at this point in time. And we're also working on the Calexico River Parkway project. So I know there's been a lot of cynicism or doubt about in the past, but this is different. There are real strides here. It's a slow process, but there are real strides on the New River Committee. Regarding ICTC and SCAG, October 4th, I attended the SCAG, what would we call it, Mark? The SCAG? Regional Council. And I sit on behalf of the Imperial Valley on the Transportation Committee, and this took place in Los Angeles. It was good to be in my hometown for just one day. On the agenda, there really wasn't anything regarding transportation in the Imperial Valley. And so I sensed a need that I and others, we need to really step up and come to the table and make sure. There is one project. It is called it's a subcommittee on the active transportation plan. And this deals with bicycling and pedestrian pathways. And it's in a 4-year plan. So I'm really going to inquire and see if we can really come to the table and get some funding for that. And I understand that the city has gotten some funding recently for pedestrian and bicycling. These are amenities that people care about. And so I see these as a priority. Also, pleased to hear, we're working on at ICTC for El Centro, Brawley, correct me if I'm wrong, and Calexico bus circulators. Now, that's down the road, but we're in the process, and I'm looking forward to that fruition. What that means, ladies and gentlemen, through ICTC, we would have bus services within the city operational. And so that's looking good. Let me see. A month ago, I brought up at the council the need. I was approached by a citizen that works with the senior citizens at the community center, I think arts and craft. And the senior citizens, they love to watch their novellas while they were doing it, and they needed a TV. So I brought it up. Sandra said she was working on it, and I know she would. But the police department or the POA stepped right up and said they would donate it, and they certainly have. So I'm happy to report that they have their television and they can watch their novellas. So that's important. That's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge. Mr. Moreno.
Yes, good evening, sir. Good evening, residents of Calexico. Just happy to report that the Bulldogs beat Central again. We're moving forward. Looking for Imperial this Friday at home.
Are you sure?
See how that goes. I had mentioned to Mayor Romero about the water tanks, the update. I know that I'm very concerned about what goes on over at the water plant, and hopefully for next time that Mr. Servino can give us an update as to if any monies from FEMA or CalEMA have come, because I know that there have been some concerned citizens, and I've been out there just on a superficial level, but you know, if you have any information, that would be great.
The plans have been completed for the rehab and a new 6 million gallon tank. Right now, FEMA is reviewing the tank because we asked for certain items to be put on the 4 million gallon tank that's going to be rehabbed. And of course, there's extra costs, so FEMA has to approve it so they can also fund those extra costs. So it's in review. We're moving ahead. Once we get there, okay, then we're going to go for bids.
And so our capacity, let's say at a peak level in the summertime, would be 10 million gallons a day? Or would you have an answer for that?
Right now, we're basically at 10 million gallons a day. And we will be at 10 million gallons a day. We can squeeze out a little bit more, but basically 10 million gallons.
Is that enough for our city?
Yes.
Okay.
Operationally, we're maybe using up about 9.2 million gallons.
Okay.
So we have a
And
buffer.
it'll diminish as the weather cools down.
Right.
Okay. And the 6 million will be replaced and the 4 million will be rehabbed, just to correct what you...
Correct, and we're demolishing the 1 million and 3 million gallon tank because they're beyond rehabbing.
Okay.
Well, it's going to cost a lot of money just to rehab them.
And so we're looking at maybe within the next 30 days to start moving on this, or 60 days, or what is your projection?
More like 45, 60.
Okay.
It's FEMA, remember, so.
Well, thank you. I also have for you, Mr. Servino, I know that graffiti is a problem in the community, and I've been looking at some other cities on what they do, and they provide, or they allow synthetic ivy to be grown on walls, which cuts on abatement, which cuts on, deters the actual graffiti. and I met with one of the representatives, and I thought maybe our community could take a look at this, especially in the public places. I know that many concerns for the citizens are a clean community, and I think graffiti could be an area that we maybe perhaps could focus on. And I have the information for you. If you would like to, I'll give it to Erica and then she can forward it to you. But I think I'm looking at the cost savings in a year with the abatement costs. Let's say, for example, time out. Say, for example, it could be 13,000, and then with this ivy that would go along the building at a cost of, let's say, 2,000. Over a year, maybe 11,000. Over 5 years, 65,000 to avoid that abatement. And that's just one particular wall of the city, let's say. And of course, this would be for public places. I think this is something that our city would benefit from. So I will leave it with her, and maybe we could, you and I get together and see what's best for our community with regard to the abatement of graffiti in our community. I guess hopefully it'll cut down on gang activity, if you will, and gangs don't claim their territories, but I think it would be something that we definitely need to consider for this community. One more item. I know that we had a moment of silence for Dr. Jorge Loaiza, and I recall back in spring of this year, one of my teachers that works at my school site was involved in an accident on the corner of 98 Andrade, and I'm throwing it out there. Perhaps maybe we can look at a traffic study or look at statistics and see if this is in fact a dangerous intersection. And if it is, we come to that determination maybe that we can come up with a plan on how to improve that intersection. I know that there was a collision in March, and now that within a matter of 6 months, a tragic accident happened on Saturday afternoon, and so maybe I'll throw it out to the chief of police to see maybe if there's something that we can do. I don't know, it's the Caltrans, it's 98, it's state property, and then of course crossing is city property. So hopefully we can look into that and try to avoid another tragic collision like we had on Saturday. That's all I have, Mayor Romero.
I just have one question, Mr. Moreno.
Yeah.
How do you get synthetic vines to grow on walls?
They don't grow.
That's what you said.
They look like they grow.
Ah, okay, thank you very much.
People think they're growing. Did I say that?
Yes.
Okay.
I was going to ask you.
I stand corrected, they don't grow.
I was asking for the scientific approach to this.
Okay.
Mr. Castro.
Yes, I want to know what happened to the retention basin on the one on Andrade in, I believe, 7th and 6th Street. The grass is too dry. Also, the Gutierrez part, the grass also is dry, and the others two on, I believe, is Andrade and Holdridge. And I want to hear from either for the administrator, Oscar Rodriguez, what happened to those parts or retention basins?
That's my department. Regarding Daniel Gutierrez, we've been having a bit of a problem. I think some citizens have been a little somewhat assertive, aggressive, however you want to put it. They've been trying to help us. In doing so, they sometimes open up the valves, they flood them, and so consequently we've shut off the main valve to the whole system. And in one case about a week and a half ago, one of the valves that we didn't shut off was open manually. These are all controlled automatically, and they have solenoids. Sometimes when the people go in there, they disturb the mechanism, and so they lose some of the parts, they damage some of the parts, and so it's out of commission. So it really disrupts our service. We've asked people that are using the parks not to do this, not to try to help us, but rather they can help us by informing us. Also, the public can inform us because they're eyes and ears for me to help me do my job better. That way I can send my crew to maintain the parks. Regarding those two parks, Daniel Gutierrez, the watering schedule has been off, but we do have it on timers, and we're on the verge of changing with the season. So obviously, the grass is going to go dormant. We're going to have to put some other ryegrass to grow it. The one on 7th and Andrade, I'm not sure what the problem is there, because that does have a new valve and a new timer. So I'll look into that.
It used to be green like a month ago, and right now it's too dry. And I'd like to know if there's
turning a
some
little
problem
yellow.
with the
Yes.
water or what?
I don't know. I'll check into it.
But it's too dry. Also, the Nosotros Park at the west side of the city of Calexico. What happened?
A 3-inch
what happened
water
to that?
line actually broke there.
I'm sorry?
A 3-inch water line actually broke. So none of the valves were working because everything was going down to the New River. So we already fixed that last week.
City manager, I believe that the kids and the players, they deserve green areas. And this has been happening since more than a year. I mean, I didn't see any solutions to this. Every time the people that approach me ask me, what happened? I mean, there's no water, or no one is take care of this retention basis or the parks. What is your answer on that? I want to hear from you.
Well, I think you've heard from the Public Works Director what the problems we're having is people are turning on the valves. And so we constantly have to be going out there and checking the valves out. We also have had problems with the breaking of water lines that we have to take care of. We'll have to look into how often we turn them on, because they're an automatic, right? They're an automatic system. So
automatic.
we may want to monitor and see if we can put them on a little longer time. And we always have to weigh that against, obviously, people wanting to use the fields. So we got to make sure that we don't flood the fields as often, because we constantly have people wanting to use the fields because we just don't have enough fields. So it's a constant battle in making sure that we water them properly, along with allowing them for people to use them. So we'll check into how much time we're actually putting on the watering schedule and see if we can water them a little more without interfering with the people wanting to use the fields.
Mr. Castro, if I could ask, if you could ask those people to please call me directly, I'd be more than happy to help them. And again, I do need comments from the people to help me, because otherwise I don't know unless I'm there physically, and I'm not there all the time.
Well, if you pass through those parks, you can see it by yourself. I mean.
Yes, but I'm busy with other things, so I can't be all places at once. I'm asking for people to help me.
Definitely, I believe that, but this is something that the people deserve, to use green areas. And it's like we had a 16th of September here in the city of Calexico, and if you see the Cramet, if you see the Cramet Park, I mean, the grass is too dry too. And the bad thing, the issue is people from the whole county and people from Mexicali comes to Calexico to visit us, and they see those kind of dry grass. I mean, that's something that we need to take care. That's my point. That's another area that grass is too dry. So I'm talking about this because people are calling me, and I pass through those parks and retention, and that's the way I see it. So
let me take the pressure off you. Have them talk to me, please.
I'm sorry?
Let me take the pressure off of you. Have them call me directly. Some have actually done that, and it's helped me.
The thing is the people call you or not, the park, the grass is dry. That's the point. I mean, the people are, sometimes they don't call you, but you can see it yourself. Okay?
True.
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Servin.
Is that all, Mr. Castro?
That all. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Hurtado?
Couple of things. First and foremost, I wanted to say that good luck to you three in this campaign. I support you, Mr. Romero. I know you are a fine candidate.
Thank you.
And you do deserve to come back and sit here next to me or somewhere around here and continue the hard work that we are doing in the city of Calexico. Unfortunately, the things that were said today were only one-sided, I'll say, because it takes 3 votes, just like someone that came up here and said, it takes 3 votes to have something either happen or not happen. So to pinpoint one certain individual on the council that needs 3 votes, it's kind of strange. Anyhow, on a lighter note, we continue to celebrate Pinktober in the city of Calexico. Starting tomorrow, the art exhibit, the Think Pink art exhibit, will be held at our Cultural Arts Center, and that will be running from October the 17th through the 27th. As was mentioned to you before, we do have the Lazo Rosa happening, and there is actually a map, and hopefully you guys can see that because it's a little interesting to see where it is that this event's going to be, but I believe that we're going to be starting out at the consulate and walking from the consulate to the point at the border together. That same evening, there's going to be a Águilas game where several tickets are out there that our team, the Águilas, our team, Mexicali's ours too, right? We'll be wearing pink uniforms, and so that's going to be really, really nice commemoration. I believe you want to say something else?
I have tickets to the game for the Águila
Okay.
against Mazatlán. One ticket against 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's free.
Mm-hmm. It's free.
The owners of Águila are donating 5,000 tickets.
Correct. The wife of Dio Murillo, she is the one that's heading this event. So if you can come out there and support, that'd be a really nice family day. Besides that, I want to remind you that we also have the gala for the Between Women fundraiser, which would be the 27th October, and that's going to be at the Dianza Hotel lobby. That's going to be a really nice gala. We have tickets at the Chamber of Commerce and at my office as well. And there's another thing too that has happened that's really important for all of you that have Facebook or internet. The El Centro Regional Medical Center created a video for an event called Pink Glove Dance, and that there, if you press like and vote for it, if we come up with the highest amount, we can get $10,000 donated to our local organization for breast cancer awareness. So please go out there and tell your friends and family to please vote for that. I don't have the website, but if you look it up, you Google it, it'll be under El Centro Regional Medical Center Pink Glove Dance. So I invite you to do that, please, and thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Hurtado. It's the only comments I will follow up with what was mentioned earlier. They're half-truths, half-lies, facts that have been distorted, but what can anyone expect tonight, which is the last regular meeting before the election? Now is a review from the recent days. On September the 20th, City of Calexico, Mayor Pro Tem Hurtado, City Manager Rodriguez, Public Works Director Servín, and yours truly met with the Calexico Unified School District Interim Superintendent and Trustees Duarte and Aguilar to further along the plans for the swimming pool in Calexico. Calexico Unified School District approved their resolution in September to agree to a JPA, Joint Powers Authority, with our city in regards to the pool, and the City of Calexico approved its resolution at the October 2nd meeting to approve the same. Supervisor Ray Castillo, ID Director Stella Mendoza, and J.P. Minville were also in attendance, including Chamber President Carlton Hargrave, among others. This is moving forward for a positive resolution to our city's need to furnish once again a public swimming pool for our community and also for competitive water sports for our high school. September 28th, I attended the Sandag Border Issues Committee in downtown San Diego. As Supervisor John Renison was also present, I made a motion to bring to the committee the language on approving a resolution either by the committee or push up for recommendation by Sandag themselves on approving a resolution either by for a recommendation for approval by the primary agency, San Diego Association of Governments, which includes Imperial County, by using the City of Calexico's resolution and that of the counties for support of the private-public partnership concept if GSA, which is the General Services Administration, cannot come up with the funding to renovate our downtown port of entry, which everybody knows we sorely need. October 3rd, I attended a meeting in regards to the annual Farm Workers Breakfast, which was initiated or founded by our beloved Loli Torres. It is scheduled for Friday, for those of you to schedule your Thursday evening event. So at Friday at 2 a.m., we'll see you at the One Stop Center. Hope to see you there. It's Friday the 7th at 2 a.m. So when you go out and party Thursday night, don't go to sleep. Also on October 3rd, the Calexico Chamber of Commerce sponsored the political forum for candidates to be present at this forum and have an opportunity to expose themselves to the voting public so they can see that the candidates are familiar with the issues and what plans they have to overcome those issues. The Chamber's intentions to have this forum is not to endorse anyone, as it's been interpreted as such. It never has been since this was initiated. It's for each candidate to have an opportunity to showcase themselves. The only two candidates that took the time to be present were John Moreno and yours truly. It was disappointing that the remaining candidates chose or decided not to participate. Note that there is one candidate who did call in and to be excused for medical reasons. October 5th, Mayor Pro Tem and I were invited to attend the ribbon cutting ceremony at JCPenney's at the Ivy Mall for adding the Sephora perfume / cologne collections to the store. In behalf of the City of El Centro was Mayor Sedalia Sanders. This past Sunday was Fernando Nene Torres' birthday. Happy birthday to you, up there while we are here in City's Council chambers, in your name, under your name. Our Calexico High School Bulldogs lost Friday the 5th to Brawley to end their undefeated season, but came back last Friday, as mentioned by Councilman Moreno, on the 12th to beat the El Centro Spartans. Viva nuestros Bulldogs.
Viva!
I will use this time to inform everyone that our next regular council meeting is Wednesday, November the 7th. Since Election Day is November 6th, we had to move the meeting one more day like we do in June when there are elections. I hope most of you use your voting privileges and go out and vote. Every vote does count. I'm close to be an example of it when I won by 11 votes in 2008. Every person that votes sends a message to the rest of the community who you want not only as your President of the United States and the rest of the public office positions being sought. The message will be the same for whom you want to be seated, along with Mayor Pro Tem Hurtado and Councilmember Hodge. Your incumbents that were elected in 2008 are John Moreno, Luis Castro, and yours truly. If you want to make sure your candidate or candidates are reelected or newly elected, then go vote. This is how you individually can be heard. The results of the votes will not only identify who will be your President of the United States come January 2013, but also who will be seated at this council at the reorganization meeting Tuesday, December 4th. Okay, thank you very much. We'll go to the consent calendar. And before I do that, Chief Mercado, if you can give us, it's not in the agenda, but asking you if you can share information regarding the sales of safe and sane fireworks, which was presented at the October 2nd meeting. And I've asked to have a follow-up, which was not on the agenda.
Good evening, council and public. Pete Mercado, Fire Chief, City of Calexico. I provided a report for informational item as requested for the 4 participating nonprofit organizations that were granted a permit to sell fireworks the 8-day period in July. In that, you will see that there were 4 nonprofit agencies: Adrian Cordoba Memorial Foundation, Baja Runners, Calexico POA, Calexico Desert Valley Bandits. They were had to submit a itemized list in the attachment, which was attachment E in the application for this year's application process, which identifies their profits for the previous year. And that's under the Calexico Municipal Code 15.24-100. So given that the three of the four that participated this year participated in last year's sales, those were the three nonprofits that reported their earnings. They're scheduled to report those earnings by March 31st of that current year. So with the attachments, of course, the Adrian Cordova, this was the first year that they were able to sell fireworks. They won't announce their net proceeds distributions until next March 13th. What was reported by the Baja Runners was a profit of $7,000, Calexico POA of $10,750, and Calexico Desert Valley Bandits of $5,895. Attached is their spreadsheet as to how they disperse those net proceeds, and they vary from scholarships to donations to softball league endorsements, and that's where the report came from.
Chief Mercado, the spreadsheets that you included here are handwritten in some format, I guess, provided by you?
Correct. These were in the application packets that were submitted by the individuals. We don't require them to be typewritten. They're just having to fill out the application, and I don't think they've ever been typewritten, the 8 that we received.
I think everybody has access to a computer and a printer. I think you should have it more professionally presented, more formalized. I don't understand at this point why this event would be on July 4th or around the July 4th weekend and still not expect to have some kind of report until the 31st of March, so many months later. Why not 3 to 6 months after that?
I believe the understanding of that is that by the time the 3-month process after the sale of the events is settled with the Board of Equalization reporting the net profits finalized through all their expenses and receipts, a check is finally cut to those nonprofit organizations. At that point, they have a certain amount of period that I guess they've estimated to be about 6 to 8 months later, where they can expend those funds. And at that point in March, they said, from the proceeds of the July 4th sales of fireworks throughout the course of this fiscal year or their year, we've spent it on, donations to the softball leagues or scholarships. Instead of saying, well, we've made a profit of $7,000, and we want them to report right now, we haven't spent any.
Well, in some sense, it's transparency has been the message for some time now. You have these nonprofit organizations generating these funds. It's accessible to them. As far as transparency, they should be furnishing a well-presented report, what they've done with the funds. I believe 6 months is more than enough time to do what they have to do. As far as for this last year, did everybody meet their initial deadline?
The initial deadline of submitting this report, no.
Of submitting any information?
Of submitting this report, no. Only one organization turned it in, and they were the ones that didn't participate last year. So they submitted one, just a blank sheet saying, here's our report of our proceeds, and turned it in. So they were behind the ball. But then again, on their side as well, is that we didn't do an aggressive approach to try to collect this information and remind them about it. Not that we should be reminding them about it, but at the same time, it was something that we didn't take a whole lot of an aggressive approach on either.
Well, there should be some kind of an aggressive approach. The City of Calexico is extending through your office, through your department, to get these permits in place. You're doing everything as obviously with the attention for them to be safe and sane. You're extending these nonprofit organizations the opportunity to generate revenues. I would think that there should also be some kind of intent, what the intent would be for this nonprofit to generate these revenues, and if they have met their commitments within a reasonable amount of time. To me, 6 months seems exaggerated. I mean, over 6 months.
Well, I think that in all due respect to each of their positions, is that they may have timeframes in which they give those donations out to the public that may not meet the city's schedule. And if you think 6 months is fine in your eyes, it may be 9 months in their eyes. Because remember that if you look at the donations that were given by most of these organizations, they were for Summer League softball, they were for post-graduation scholarships. So those theoretically are given in May, June, and I think with all due respect to that, what we would see was saying we've generated $5,000 in profits and we just haven't spent them all. Now, if that's the case, how is the city going to address and deal with that? Is that acceptable or is it not? Or do we have to have maybe a semi-annual report? I don't know.
Well, I think that maybe a semi-annual report would be welcome. And I'm talking about more for, again, the issue of transparency. In the application, it does not mention what their intent is for and how to use these funds. Is that correct?
In the municipal code, it does specify that they are supposed to give back to charitable organizations, and it does describe it in the municipal code. We do cover that when we do have the safe and sane instruction, fire safety and application process. But those corrections that you're talking about, penmanship, if that's not acceptable, we can change that and make sure that that becomes part of the application process and they understand that. And then we just have to do a better job of policing that if that's the request of the council and that's the level that we want to bring it up to.
Well, that would be under a future agenda item.
Right.
I understand that. But I think it would be important for the public to know how much was generated and how they disperse those funds, even if it's a semi-annual report, and also even to follow up with the beneficiary of those funds, if they did receive those funds in a timely manner. We need to keep, obviously, the integrity of the purpose of these fundraisers to its maximum.
Mr. Romero?
Thank you, Chief Mercado.
Would you suggest perhaps maybe a spreadsheet?
Well,
I think we should have this as a future agenda item so that the
Okay.
council can engage in discussion.
So everybody has
rather
the
than
same
just
form.
get, yes, information.
All right. Thank you, Chief Mercado. All right. Now we go to consent calendar. Is there a motion on from 1 through 5?
So,
Second.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Hurtado to approve consent calendar items 1 through 5. Second by Councilman Moreno. Please press the button to display your vote. Passes unanimously, 5-0. We'll go to item number 6, discussion, direction on citizens' request management system for the public. Mr. City Manager, can you give us a FYI on this?
Honorable Mayor and council members, this item came before you at the request of Councilmember Hodge during some of his comments during a prior meeting, and he was asking about what we could do to be able to get the public involved in providing information on what is going on in the community and giving us information to be able to respond to and hopefully take care of things that are happening in our community, such as we heard with maybe the parks and so on. I think this system that we bring before you today, and again, if you recall, it came up from the aspect of an item that was brought up by a particular council member, and so the procedure now goes to us bringing this item back so that the council can discuss it, and once the council discusses it, then they can give us direction. In this particular case, we found this particular system that is being used by a lot of cities already. It is called GovPartner, and the system actually allows you to provide some interplay with the community, whereby they can come in and call into the system and provide for the information that they need to provide us. In the particular case, a little while ago, we were talking about the parks. They could actually call in and provide information on the parks, the location, what was wrong with it. And the system itself, the way it programs, the software programs it, is it'll identify key words in the system and then direct that to the appropriate department so that we're not having to put it into a message machine and then somebody has to go in and listen to it and then has to direct it to that particular department, therefore taking up staff time and obviously sometimes maybe even routing it to the wrong person. This will automatically route it within the system. It'll automatically identify it and route it to the appropriate department. So it allows for customer communication regarding inquiries, requests for information, requests for service, complaints, questions, and hopefully my favorite is that actual compliments can be put into the system, and so then we can advise the council we're actually doing something right here. The other thing that it does is the user accounts establishes a profile and a login to the system, therefore allowing to track a history so that if we've had concerns regarding a particular item, we can go in and historically find out what has happened in the past so that we can address it and we don't wait until it continues to happen, but rather the history will tell us that we have a problem there and we need to address it. There's a couple of things that are important in the system. It's an automatic notification to staff, as I said, by email of new requests. So it automatically sends it off to the particular department for a response, and then we can time it so that the system will require us, the department head that gets that particular inquiry, we can in the software, we can time it so that we say within 3 days or 5 days, you have to give a response. If not, the system will come back and prompt it and say, what's happening? You're not responding. And again, it provides a history for my office to be able to look at it and say, you know, a Public Works Department, they had 3 inquiries and they're 7 days over. How come they haven't responded? And then we can jump on it and make sure that they do get responded to. It automatically provides for audit trails, as I said. It provides a historical accountability of what is going on. It provides immediate response and real-time updates. We can provide into the system real-time updates on what's going on in the city. As we've talked about it, and obviously everybody wants to make sure that we address this issue, it increases transparency and communication with residents, which a lot of times it's difficult to find the mechanism that's best for everybody to be able to communicate with us. It's very difficult sometimes for somebody to come to City Hall and physically come and talk to us. So this will give them a mechanism to be able to do that. The one thing that's also important in here, it provides for a link that provides for frequently asked questions. So the system measures and says, okay, this question's been asked, 10 times or 20 times. So it automatically, we can create a frequently asked question, so somebody before they may want to even submit a compliment, they go on the system and they find out we've been complimented 100,000 times, right? So, maybe they don't want to do it again. But it provides that history so that maybe their questions are answered before they even go onto the system. And this particular system would be put on all of our computer systems, obviously. So all the departments would have it, and it would route it to a particular computer so that automatically they would get it. And then we would move forward to possibly even putting a computer in the lobby at a secured area, obviously, so people coming in can actually log in and provide the information to us via the computer that would be somewhere in our facility, so they don't necessarily even have to go talk to a human body and take up time. They could just go to the computer and provide it as a mobile site. And if we want it later on, we could put it in other mobile sites too. The last thing I want to say about the system, this is only one module. So you can build the system where you have additional modules. So for example, we've talked about the building department in reference to some issues at the building department. We could later on go in and look at the module for building department or for planning department. They have other modules to see if they could help us out with the public in providing information to them or them to us. So it's a pretty neat system, and it is being utilized right now by other localities.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor, if I may. How many languages would be accessible to this, if that? Would it include English, Spanish, Korean, Palestinian? I'm thinking of all the languages that are spoken in Calexico.
You know, we didn't ask that specific question. I didn't see it in the material, but I believe that they do have other languages because they use them in other multi-cities, language cities. So I'm sure that they have other, but we will check that out. Tonight, we didn't necessarily want you to necessarily approve it or anything. We just
Right.
wanted to get direction,
Right.
whether you wanted us to follow up on this.
I think that's a critical question for our community
Sure.
because.
And in LA, you do have obviously all kinds of languages, and I know they use the system there too.
We've become a microcosm of the United States here in Calexico.
There you go.
Okay, Mr. Gonzalez. Okay, we'll skip.
Don't wake him.
Mr. Hodge, this is your item.
Oscar, that was excellent.
Mr. Hodge, you got to whisper.
That's a compliment. We wanted on the
Sorry, we have to keep
Everybody whisper.
This is your home. Remember
This
you
is
came
your
home?
home,
Remember you came home?
This is your homecoming.
Okay. Well, I'm certainly very pleased for following up on this, Mr. City Manager, and I read this, and you did an excellent presentation. As others, I was concerned about the cost, but the way you explained it, everyone would take a little bit of a bite off of it from the
Right, this
department.
will obviously benefit all of the departments, so therefore we would allocate it to all the different departments.
And, you know, I think this is definitely in the right direction. You know, we talk about new technology and software, and your question is very valid, Councilman Moreno. But I certainly support this. It's another staple of democracy, transparency and communication, and it will
Accountability.
and accountability, absolutely, and efficiency and communication among departments. And it will please the ones that care in the community that this will be another avenue of communicating and us responding to their needs and their concerns. So I wholeheartedly support this. I hope my fellow councilman does too, but I entertain their insights and concerns.
One question that I have also, would we need to budget this item?
No, we plan on expending it through our current budgets.
Okay.
The cost is not going to be that much once we divide it out into all the different departments.
So the consensus of this council is to give direction, to follow up with this?
I think it's a good thing. I don't see anything that would, I think this is just opens us up to more
Yes.
communication, and I think that's key.
Well, and I think the other thing from the administration portion of it, it now provides a documentation for us in reference to some of the common items that have come up so that we can address them. And so we can hopefully get rid of having to come back with the same item.
Right, and make sure that we have addressed the language issue.
Correct. We will do that. And so if tonight you give direction to move forward with it, we will.
All right. Okay, I guess we go to the next item. All right, discussion and or action on revocation, suspension of certificates of public convenience and necessity, otherwise known as PCNs, for Calexico Transit System.
Mayor, may I?
Yes.
I recuse from item 7.
Okay.
So
Mr.
I'm
Gasso.
leaving the chamber.
Okay, thank you. And we also had to switch attorneys. Okay. Okay, I guess direct this to city manager.
Yes, we will go ahead and from the staff side, go ahead and make a presentation where, you know, maybe we'll give a brief presentation as to where we were the last time, where we are today, and then obviously you do have representation for the council, and so then you might want to take input and then obviously deliberate on it. So staff will make a presentation on where we were, where we are, so that you get up to date.
All right, and just to inform the council, we do have several persons that wish to comment on this item, so once they finish their presentation, if we go to those speakers. Go ahead, City Manager. City Manager to Chief Nugent.
Okay, first thing I want to do is introduce David Stotland. He's also one of the deputy city attorneys. He's going to be helping me out tonight. For those who don't know or have missed the saga, on September 14th, the police department became aware that there was a possibility that the bus service had expired insurance. And during that time, we tried to work with the company to determine whether that was or was not the case. Ultimately, on, I believe it was September 17th, we came to the agreement that they did not have the proper insurance in place, and the business was stopped at that time. There was a city public hearing that was put into place on October 1st. That public hearing was a time for us, the city, to provide information to the council as to compliance or lack of compliance, as well as for the owner of the company to be able to provide additional information to the council. Since that time, we've gone through a number of compliance issues where we've been able to gain compliance with the business. When we left the meeting on October 1st, there were 2 items pending at that time that needed to be corrected, and that one was the workers' compensation insurance, and the other was the corporation status of Imperial Rapid Service. And since that time, we've worked on each of those items, and I'm here at this point to be able to tell you that we've gone through the insurance, we've gone through the proper licensing of the drivers, we've gone through the corporation status through the California Secretary of State. We have also gone through the business license. We've gone through the fictitious name statement from the county clerk recorder. We've had additional correspondence between the owners, as well as to be able to straighten out who is, in fact, the owner of record of the business. And then we've also we've inspected the buses to make sure that they're current. In your package, what's been supplied to you today is a memorandum from me certifying that the Imperial Rapid Service does meet the requirements as specified under the Calexico Municipal Code.
Chief, is this for all the buses in the fleet?
For 5 units.
They've provided insurance and certifications for 5 buses.
Okay, okay. And they have a bigger fleet, though?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Castro?
No. Right now, we're going to operate 5 buses, so. No.
Okay. All right, then I guess we'll go to the, if there's no other questions? Yes. Council will add further comments after the public session. Okay. Ben Horton, Calexico Transit System. Yes. If you can keep it
Thank you,
to 3 minutes, please.
Within 3 minutes, Mr. Mayor. One of the things I just want to say, if they have complied with everything, there should be no reason that they shouldn't be granted operating. And like the chief has said, that they have certified that everything is, the way I understand it, they have certified that everything is ready to go, then they have complied with it. So remember this, that the responsibility of the safety of the community lies with the council. And they, at the end of the day, they're the ones that have to be on top of the hill that says that everything is good to go. So with that, I'll make my point ended. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Horton. Mr. Gonzalez.
I'm not going to snore anymore. Thank you very much. I'm embarrassed, that I went to the sleep center, and about 2 weeks ago, they gave me a contraption, so when I sleep at night, I don't snore anymore, but I don't have that with me. Anyway, be as it may, I want to congratulate Mr. Jovan, because you're following the legacy of your grandfather. I think Mr. Castro, Luis, Jovan, third generation, are following the legacy of Mr. Luis Castro. I helped Mr. Luis Castro in 1970 Spot Moreno, Luis, etc. I'm a grants writer, and I've written grants statewide, and I wrote when Chris Bird was here. I never wanted to tell anybody, but I am a grants writer. I've been writing for about probably 40 years when I was at Cal State. Anyway, to make a long story short, congratulations, Mr. Jovan and your family. I know that they suffered more than $20,000, and it's most unfortunate. And I hope the council readily authorize them to commence as soon as possible, because not only did the students, farm workers, people, but the economy was adversely, binationally affected. It affected everybody. I know that I was in La Frontera because I read it daily, and I read it at Celsius from Mexico City. I get it a week late, but I read that. I've always written that. I can read and write Spanish, and I have when I graduated, I have a Spanish major too, in philosophy. I graduated with 3 majors. So, but I want to congratulate, for the benefit of everybody, the economy, the students, people that worked at Walmart, all the sweatshop businesses around Walmart, they suffered. And I think they're going to be extremely and cosmically happy, utterly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Luis Casillas.
Well, it's very clear, as the chief said, that if the transit company is in compliance, that they should operate. And as Oscar has pointed out, the only people that suffer are residents. It's a disservice to all the people that are here. It's a disservice to the students, to the community. And these are the big issues that we need to attack here, okay? Transit within the city, that's an issue. That's something that needs to be taken care of and addressed, okay? Not the penmanship on the fireworks stand or on a fireworks application. These are the big issues. So, I mean, I don't have to say anymore. If they're in compliance, they should be given the opportunity to operate and keep running their family business. They've suffered a lot. The Castro family has suffered a lot on personal attacks. And like I said before, it's us. It's no one else. Thank you.
Abelardo Pérez. No.
Okay, good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council and the public. My name is Abelardo Perez, and I own a local transportation company called LA Shuttle. I was made to jump through hoops when I was establishing my business, and I have a workers' compensation for my employees, and I have by state law an insurance that has $5 million in coverage. I make sure that our buses are clean and safe for the people that we transport in Calexico to other parts in the valley. We have been very reluctant to approach the City Council and offer our services because we are a company that is doing everything legitimate and legally required of us as a transportation company. But the constant complaints from passengers and the irregularities reported in the media about the current transportation has forced us to speak out. There is no excuse for putting passengers at risk, okay, even if it's a family company or they've been here for a long time, you know, they jeopardize the people's safety. And not only that, you know, the city of Calexico safety. And as a transportation company owner, the safety of our passengers is our top priority. The integrity of this city council and of the city in the eyes of the rest of the county has been put to shame. There is no clear legal separation between the current company's ownership and a city council member. The state has revoked a license to operate. There's no insurance coverage for the buses, and there is no workers' compensation insurance for the employees. No other business will not be allowed to operate. Why is this council be so blatantly allowing this to happen? Because you sit next to each other, that doesn't mean that you give the right to violate your own rules and what is legal and just. There are various businesses owners that are willing and are waiting on your decision tonight because you will not have no right to enforce your own business license requirements, proof of insurance, and public safety concerns. I want you to hear and know tonight that there are other options available to serve the public and the city and its own transportation needs. There are legitimate businesses that can do the job of taking people where they need to go and do it safely. And with all that is requirement under the law, I got one of those companies. Okay, so that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. Thank you very much.
I just want to say that your speech is a little bit too late. The speech was a little bit late, you know, it's a past tense, we're in compliance. So just to clarify that, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Jose Luis Haran.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es José Luis Jarazo, residente aquí de la ciudad de Caléxico. Primero que todo, sí me gustaría mandar un mensaje, señor alcalde, aquí al director de obras. Primero que todo, por plantear aquí dos problemas. El problema número uno, lo que es la calle Holly, la calle lo que es de Las Palmas, de que ya tiene bastante tiempo, yo vivo ahí por unas partes de atrás, y está pues bastante destrozada, ¿no? Yo creo, y el alumbrado también. Y veo también la calle que está enfrente de Santo Tomás, también ya tiene bastante tiempo. Yo transito mucho y sí me gustaría que lo tomaran en cuenta para más adelante tratar de rehabilitar esas calles y el alumbrado también, porque se nos están dañando también bastante los carros. Y si cambiando de tema, pues el tema del transporte una vez más, yo acabo de realizar un sondeo, porque continuamente nos están hablando. Yo soy periodista, estoy aquí en Mexicali, en radio y en televisión, el periódico La Voz de la Frontera, y también estoy en MINC y en Radio Fórmula. Y hemos estado avisando a toda la ciudadanía lo que está pasando aquí en Caléxico, primordialmente sobre el transporte. Hoy en día, el sondeo que realicé, hice un sondeo aquí en el mercado Walmart, un sondeo en el mercado Fort Less y lo que es en Santo Tomás, de que estuve platicando con algunos clientes, estuve platicando también con algunas personas que trabajan ahí, y ha bajado mucho las compras por la falta del transporte, número uno, porque actualmente los taxis están cobrando lo que les da su gana y no hay un control ahorita con los taxis. Entonces ahí yo creo que sí hay que tomar medidas, y les mando el mensaje a ustedes también de que los hagan meter en cintura, porque están abusando con la gente de Mexicali. Ha habido muchas llamadas que están cobrando bastante dinero y están raiteando, de que levantan 2 personas, por ejemplo, en Walmart, y siguen levantando personas y les siguen cobrando $5, y yo creo que eso no es justo, ¿va? Y el otro tema, pues el tema del transporte. Yo soy usuario del transporte público y he usado algunos años, he utilizado transporte público porque a veces me he tenido problemas con mi carro. Y quiero decirle a la persona que habló anteriormente de que yo como usuario también del transporte público brinda un buen servicio, brinda un servicio de calidad. Yo me he fijado, por ejemplo, con los choferes que prestan mucha amabilidad con la gente de la tercera edad, y con esas personas que batallan para subirse también, de que traen sus rampas también para subir gente discapacitada. Realmente el servicio es bueno, de que hoy en día estaba escuchando ahorita que ya tienen todos los requisitos. Qué bueno que hay otra opción también, bienvenida, yo creo, otra opción también. Pero si el señor Castro le están brindando ese servicio con un servicio de calidad, y si ya cumplió con todos los requisitos, pues yo les pido de favor de que, pues adelante, ¿no? Adelante, hay que palomear y que tengamos una vez más ese transporte, y para avisarle a toda la gente de Mexicali y su valle de que ya está listo este transporte. Gracias.
Gracias a usted. School Board Trustee June Kim.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and citizens of the Calexico. I'm here as a person, June Kim, not as a board members. And I noticed from the chief report, we are the one, this is a fully 1 month being possibly stopped it. That's unacceptable for the as citizens. To our city council make the decision to stop the bus 1 month without any provisional service for the community. Community deserves this one better. And also, someone was mentioning the bus company, they didn't have insurance. They didn't have insurance because city suddenly raised the cap. And they didn't have to have that cap because the size of the bus company and the route. And city still keep asking them, and they, I believe, they complied. Again, for this one, I believe our city council has to be careful when they make the decision to engage in public service. They should be able to have some provisional cases to make sure to minimize public impact. And also, this one, I heard the rumor, some of the council person tried to give the trouble to Mr. Castro's bus company. And I see the proof tonight. I believe that is correct. And to bring the other side of the bus company to try to take over the business from them. This city council, they want to have a political war outside, not jeopardizing citizens' benefit.
Mr. Kim, may I ask you a question?
Yes?
You're saying that this was political?
That's my opinion.
Okay. So you would want the city of Calexico to permit for them to do this service while they were not in compliance?
I'm glad you're asking me, please.
That's compadrism, isn't it?
Okay, wait a minute. It's not the compatibilism.
It isn't?
Let me. Okay, the bus has been running that long years. First of all, the city raised the cap,
It was
so they
raised
don't
in-
have insurance anymore.
The ceiling was in 1990 something. It's beyond our control. We don't have anything to do there.
That company is by the regulation, and so other portion of the regulation, they don't have to have that cap requirements.
In
So
1995.
whatever they've been running in that way, if they have something what's called the little messing around, they should be able to provisionally running and with make sure the insurance. And the city didn't step in that one, just stop the bus.
Okay, thank you. María Elena Preciado. Y disculpe que ha detenido ese cartolón por tanto tiempo, llegando a...
Claro que sí. Muy buenas tardes, señores del concilio. Muy buenas tardes a ustedes. Yo vengo a exigir, vino una comisión de señoras hace rato, hace tiempo, a pedir camiones. Y le dijeron que sí, que ya iban a salir los camiones, pero no han salido camiones todavía. Ahora venimos, aquí hay varias personas que venimos no a pedir, a exigir camiones, porque ya es mucho tiempo, es más de un mes que no tenemos camiones. Ya estamos peor que los ranchos de Mexicali, que los camiones llegan una vez a cada hora. Aquí la comunidad, los residentes, residentes, ciudadanos, visitantes de Mexicali, nos urgen un transporte, nos urge camiones. Hemos estado caminando, yo vivo entre las 7 y las 8, yo me he ido a pie hasta la clínica el regional. Me he ido a pie, me he regresado a pie. Y no nomás yo, hay muchas personas que hemos ido hasta la Walmart a pie. ¿Por qué? Porque no tenemos camiones. Desde que se pararon los camiones, ustedes deberían de haber puesto unos camiones para apoyar a la gente. Nos urgen camiones. Ya están los camiones, ok, denles chance, denles que salgan los camiones. Pero que salgan ya. No los queremos para el mes que entra, ni dentro de 2 o 3 semanas. Nos urgen camiones, pero ya, por favor. Y en tiempo de calor, que tengan refrigeración. Creo que somos la nación más poderosa del mundo, supuestamente. Y la ciudad de Calexico tiene más de un mes sin camiones. ¿Por qué? Es la pregunta que nos hacemos todos nosotros. ¿Qué es lo que está pasando? ¿Qué es lo que está pasando con ustedes? Desde que se paró un camión, deberían de haber metido más camiones para ayudar a la comunidad de Calexico, a los vecinos de enseguida, que vienen a comprar, a consumir aquí en nuestro Calexico. Y queremos, por favor, les exigimos, ya no es por favor, ya vinieron gente a pedir. Nosotros no venimos a pedir, venimos a exigir. Si va a haber camiones, que estén ya. Hay compañías que quieren entrar, que traen todos los permisos. Yo no vengo a echarle tierra a nadie. Vengo a exigir camiones, pero ya. Si los Castro tienen los camiones, tienen todos los permisos, que sigan adelante. Yo los quiero mucho, estos muchachos, porque son muy trabajadores, muy luchones. Todo su personal es muy linda persona. Donde quiera que me ven, me levantan. Pero necesitamos los camiones ya. Si tienen todo listo, ok, denles salida, pero ya.
Gracias.
No mañana, ni pasado mañana, ni el mes que entra. Exigimos ya. Gracias.
Gracias, señor presidente. Horacio Ábalos.
Creo que apenas estoy de la medida. El transporte público, todos coincidimos que es un servicio de primera necesidad para moverse y beneficia al comercio. También creo que todos estamos de acuerdo en que el servicio no es culpa de los regidores que se haya suspendido, es culpa del señor Luis Castro que no cumplía con los requisitos. Pero también es cierto,
por favor.
pero también es cierto que el señor Luis Castro se ha esforzado para cumplir los requisitos y tiene 7 días o 8 días con los requisitos cumplidos. Entonces ya es justo que esos camiones de Luis Castro, si lo van a autorizar, estén funcionando. Porque yo percibo en la calle como un capricho, y se los digo, del cabildo, de los regidores, no dejar funcionar esos camiones. El falta de servicio, como muchos otros servicios, refleja que existe una mala administración en Calexico. Esa es la gran verdad. Queremos que las cosas cambien, tenemos que aprender a hablar y a reconocer y no andar aplaudiendo falsamente. Luis Castro es mi amigo y reconozco que incurrió una responsabilidad al traer unos camiones sin aseguranza porque pone en peligro a los ciudadanos, pero también se ha esforzado para cumplir los requisitos, estoy hablando, pero ya cumplió los requisitos. Autoricen a que esos camiones funcionen si están en buen funcionamiento. Y si hay una empresa que puede funcionar mejor, autorícenlo. No se trata de Luis Castro, ni se trata de los regidores. Se trata que la ciudad necesita un servicio, los comercios están siendo mermados porque la gente no hay movimiento, hay un abuso en los taxistas, hay un abuso en los raiteros, que es un problema que ya tiene mucho Caléxico y no pueden resolver. Entrando de Mexicali a Caléxico, ahí están los raiteros abusando, cobrándole a la gente y no se hace nada. Ahí están los parques sin baños, sin zacate, ahí están las calles todas en mal estado, los callejones apestando. Señores regidores, yo los invito, los exhorto a que dejen sus diferencias a un lado, a que se pongan de acuerdo y les sirvan a Caléxico porque para eso fueron elegidos. Déjense de conductas infantiles, pónganse a trabajar por Caléxico. El día de hoy autoricen que los camiones funcionen. Gracias.
Gracias. ¿Estoy bien? ¿Otra vez? Abelardo Pérez. ¿Otra vez?
Porque si esta compañía hubiera estado operando, ¿verdad?, con los permisos legales y todo, no tuvieran que haber pasado por esto. Pero lo hicieron por una razón, porque no tenían cómo pagarlo, o no sé por qué. Pero ¿qué hubiera pasado si hubiera habido un accidente o algo fatal en un camión de esos que van retacados de gente? No, nunca lo ha habido, pero si lo hubiera habido, ¿qué hubiera pasado? ¿Quién hubiera pagado por eso?
Señor Pérez, wait, tiempo.
La ciudad de Caléxico hubiera tenido que haber pagado por eso.
Sí.
Y es lo que quiero que tomen en cuenta, no porque sea el señor Castro o porque sea Giovanni Castro. Lo que pasa es que aquí se violó una ley, y si hubiera sido mi compañía, estoy seguro que ahorita no tuviéramos una meeting o una segunda meeting. Me hubieran revocado el permiso en ese momento. ¿Me entienden?
Okay, sí.
Entonces, yo lo que quiero es pedirle al concilio que tome en cuenta que ha sido una violación, y una violación grande, no una violación pequeña. ¿Me entiendes? Se pusieron en riesgo la vida de personas, la seguridad de personas y la seguridad de la ciudad. Y ustedes tienen que tomar en cuenta eso antes de volver a dejar operar una compañía que faltó a los requerimientos.
Ok. Gracias, señor Pérez. Mary Lou Medina. Después después de Mary Lou va a haber una persona más y ahí terminamos. Adelante.
Buenas noches a todos. Es la primera vez que yo asisto aquí y yo no vengo a pelear con nadie. Yo lo únicamente que vengo es a pedirles, por favor, que ya necesitamos los bases. Muchas de las personas que están aquí, comenzando con ustedes, me conocen a mí y yo tengo que pagar $10 de taxi diarios. Trabajo 4 días a la semana, todo se me está yendo en el taxi. Si antes podía ir a mi trabajo, a la Walmart, a Furfolés, y hacía mis cosas y no estaba gastando tanto como estoy gastando ahora, y muchos de ustedes, de los usuarios. Imagínense, el día de mi descanso gasté $25 en taxi. ¿Qué me quedó? Me da mucha tristeza que nosotros, aquí en Caléxico, en lugar de andar, gateamos. ¿Cómo puede ser posible que si sabían que los bases no tenían permisos o todos los problemas que están pasando, no haber puesto bases? Aquí está la señora Romero, que yo un día en la noche le pedí raite porque no tenía ni para el taxi. O muchas veces espero que alguien esté allá afuera para andar pidiendo raite. La cosa es que es urgente, es determinante que ya tengamos bases. No podemos estar caminando, no podemos estar pidiendo raite, no podemos estar gastando más de lo que estamos ganando. Nosotros habemos mucha gente pobre aquí en Caléxico. Muchos de ustedes tienen sus carros, habemos gente que no tenemos un carro. Y yo se lo digo personalmente a todos, necesitamos los bases. Yo ya estoy cansada de andar yendo, caminando, de pidiendo raite, de excediéndome de lo que gano por estar pagando tanto taxi. Como les digo, yo no vengo a pelear con nadie, yo vengo a exigir que haya bases. Allá está la señorita aquella que tiene la mano así, que hasta yo a ella le he pedido raite, porque salgo y no hay ni qué hacer, o ando correteando los bases de los seniors. Eso no es justo, no es justo, porque como dijo la señora, vivimos en el país de la potencia, y mira cómo andamos a pie, yo cargando las bolsas de mandado, toda la gente lo está haciendo, no es nada malo lo que estamos pidiendo, es algo que lo necesitamos. Muchísimas gracias.
Gracias a usted. Ok, Diana Cortés. Ok, por favor, señora Castro.
Sí, buenas tardes. Ana Castro, esposa de Luis Castro. La compañía es de mi hijo, Giovanni Castro. Sí, se cometió un error, no tuvo aseguranza. Ok. Se aseguró y se vino al concilio y se le dijo y se agarró la aseguranza de $1,5 millones, que es lo que siempre se había requerido anteriormente. Empezaron a poner trabas tras trabas tras trabas. Entonces, si dicen que no es político, pues están queriéndolo encubrir, porque en realidad sí lo es. ¿Ok? Porque él después trajo los 5 millones y tampoco. El jueves pasado tenía todo en regla, todo lo que le estaban pidiendo. Supuestamente ustedes, el mayor era que la mayor responsabilidad era la aseguranza, que estuvieran protegidos, que tuviera aseguranza. La aseguranza se consiguió en cuanto a él lo pararon. Se consiguió esa aseguranza. Por años, esta ciudad de Calexico no ha querido asistir al transporte para un mejor servicio. Parece ser que ustedes no piensan en que debemos de tener algo mejor para nuestra ciudadanía. Se asigna para todas las ciudades, para todos los estados, un dinero que es especial para ayudar el transporte, para tener mejor transporte, y sin embargo la ciudad de Calexico nunca lo ha querido hacer. Otra cosa, también, desde el jueves, Giovanni Castro tenía todos los requisitos. Ahora estamos a martes y todavía no lo han dejado entrar. Entonces dicen ustedes que no es política. Entonces, ¿qué es esto, señores? ¿No es política? Porque si en la junta anterior le dijeron que podía decidir Newjar, el chief of police, el Rodríguez, se han estado aventando la bolita unos a otros. ¿No es esto política? Ahora están trayendo que la otra compañía que dice que está listo, que no ha quebrado ninguna regla. Ok, tenemos los taxis. Les están abusando, los taxistas están abusando. Están abusando al cobrarle a los ciudadanos $8, $7 para llevarlos de una parte a otra, cuando su tarifa de ellos son $5. ¿Qué van a hacer a ese aspecto? ¿Qué van a hacer a ese aspecto? Sin embargo, a nosotros nos quieren aplicar la ley. ¿Les van a aplicar la ley a todos los taxistas? ¿Han asegurado que todos los taxistas tengan sus aseguranzas en regla? ¿Se ha revisado? Porque parece ser que nomás está señalando nuestra compañía. Sin embargo, ya trajeron a otra ahí que según él presta sus... ¿cómo sabemos si ellos también están al día? Nos están revisen a todos. Pero ahorita ya estamos en compliance, tenemos todo en orden. ¿Por qué los ha detenido? Desde el jueves pudimos haber empezado y no permitieron que la compañera entrara. Desde el día que se paró, al día siguiente se consiguió la aseguranza de $1.5 millones, que era lo que se requería anteriormente, y no la permitieron entrar porque pidieron 5 millones. Si la aseguranza era lo que ustedes querían, señores, con 40 años o más de servicio que se ha dado a esta comunidad, con 40 años o más, que no hemos tenido ni una sola reclamación de ninguna aseguranza, se están poniendo exigentes ahora. ¿Político? ¿No es política? Sí, señores, es política. ¿Dónde está que dicen ustedes que son muy claros? No, señor, no. Es política lo que han estado haciendo. ¿Por qué? Porque Luis Castro quiere decir la verdad, por esa razón. Sean honestos. Porque a la ciudadanía de Calexico no le están echando mentiras, se están echando mentiras ustedes mismos. Así es que,
Ok, ya, señora Castro, ya,
¿estamos
ya
en
excedió,
compliance?
ya excedió
We're in
sus 3
compliance?
minutos.
We're in
Ya-
compliance, so,
Ok, ya están en compliance.
thank you.
Tenemos, no, ya, gracias por sus comentarios. Gracias por sus comentarios. El asunto de los taxis no es el tema ahorita, eso se verán después si es necesario. Gracias.
Después,
Gracias,
es importante.
gracias. Gracias. Nomás para una clarificación, los 5 millones ha estado desde 1995, una póliza que ya habían presentado.
Entonces hay ineficiencia en su
Eso no le voy a discutir.
trabajar en la ciudad, porque si desde entonces está, ¿qué pasó?
Es correcto, es correcto.
Exactamente.
Es correcto.
Así como también les exigieron a los taxis que tuvieran medidores, ¿qué hicieron? Mejor les quitaron los medidores y cancelaron esa póliza. ¿Qué pasó? Y sin embargo están abusando de nuestra ciudadanía.
Gracias, señora Castro. Ok. Ya lo traigo a los... bring it back to council. Mr. Hodge.
Wow. Yes.
Señora Preciado.
This has been a great hardship on the citizens in Calexico and the Castro family. And first, I did not receive a phone call or a memo about you being in compliance on Thursday. So that angers me, because we should have had a meeting right away. I don't care if it was 8 o'clock at night, because we have now extended more days where these people suffer. These are working class people, these are elderly people, and Senora, you are absolutely right. We need a backup plan, so I apologize for that negligence on part of the city. We do need a backup plan, and we need to help Mr. Castro and Jovan's business in the future. We need to investigate about subsidizing. But ladies and gentlemen, on my part, this is not political. We have debates going on with candidates. We have lots of information. And what counts, and I like good old Joe Biden, is facts, facts, facts. Unless you can correct me, ladies and gentlemen, the suspension from the state was out of our control. The insurance, yes, it was 1 point something before, but we read the documents and it stated, not the city's decision, that it had to be 5 million. There was a violation and out of compliance. And ladies and gentlemen, we are concerned about your safety. Even though there hasn't been an accident, excellent record on the Castro's family, that doesn't mean there won't be one. And so we need to look at that in concern of your public safety, but we should have done it swiftly, and we should have not waited for today. That angers me that we waited today. But the facts must prevail. We must get the facts and the evidence. We do need to improve transportation, public transportation. We need to have an alternative. We need to have help in any way we can the Castro's family. But I also believe in competition. Now, the ICTC is working on bus circulators. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not going to happen now in 1 or 2 years, but we need to find alternatives now. But we will have brand-new buses, air-conditioned buses in the inner-city routes, so we will work on that. This other gentleman indicated that he could provide services. My question to the Castro family is, if I understood the facts before, you had once were running on 9 buses. Now you're going to be able to run on 4. Is that correct?
5.
5. So we're 3 short. Somewhere, somehow, we have to take up the slack. Because even with the Castro family, as best as they could, we still need to improve transportation. The Castro family has to step up and put air conditioning in the buses. Ladies and gentlemen, you should not be suffering in 110-degree heat. All right, but the quality, we need to improve the quality. And that means Castro bus service and other bus services. So you have a choice. You have an alternative. And I'm looking forward in the future for helping the Castro family and allowing other competition to come in so that we have full service. If you miss Mr. Castro's bus, lo and behold, here comes another one. You get a ride. Okay? So this is something that we have to work on. So we do need to improve on public transportation. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge. Mr. Moreno.
Honorable Mayor,
Yes.
I beg your pardon, but before council reaches any decisions on this, I think we ought to make sure that Mr. Castro has a chance to speak as well if he has anything he needs to say.
Mr. Castro?
Mr. Gonzalez, you can't park there right now.
Thank you very much, Jovan Castro. All the ducks are in line. We're 110% ready to start tomorrow. Give us a shot. We've been doing it for 40 years. We're ready to do it, and we're ready to work with the city to improve in whatever we need to improve. But we just want to move forward for the community of Calexico. Thank you.
Let's get them going.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? All right, Mr. Moreno.
Well, I concur with Mr. Hodge in allowing the buses to start rolling. I also think the question of air conditioning is a critical part of our community in the summertime, and I hope that that will be taken care of. I believe Mr. Castro has been given due process and that he can start operation as soon as possible, but I was wondering why he wasn't allowed to start the operation when he had all his ducks in a row. I know this is hurting the city, and so that's a question I have. Who do I address it to? Why wasn't he allowed to start rolling the buses when he was in compliance?
The direction from last council meeting was to bring it back for today to show the council that he was in compliance.
Okay, I remember that he said he would have got to do it in 5 days, but we gave him a cushion of an extra week or so. That was the final decision?
It was bringing it back so that the permits would expire at midnight tonight, so that you would ultimately have the final authority tonight.
Well, I'm not wavering my decision. I support this company 100%, and I have nothing else to say. Let's get those buses rolling.
Mr. Gonzalez, you've already,
No, I just wanted to make a fact.
one fact?
Yeah.
How long are you going to be there?
1 minute.
Okay,
Mr.
thank you.
Hodge, I would like to inform you that ITC is going to fund orange buses January the 1st. And I want to be the consultant for Mr. Castro to do the proposal. And secondly, it's not true. You're right, Mr. Moreno. Jovan had those permits within 3 days. Nevertheless, they made him wait. They lost a lot of money. I think the city is liable.
There you go.
And I hope that Mr. Jovan and company pursue that because the city's liable. They lost over 25,000 unnecessarily. So, you know, era un capricho, fue un capricho político. Fue pura política. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Mayor Pro Tem Hurtado.
First of all, I'd like to clarify that we're here discussing this issue because a company in the city of Calexico was out of compliance. This was not initiated by the city council. This was due to lack of compliance for a company that basically has been here this long and should have known better. So as far as benefiting the people, we are trying to do that to ensure that we are protecting those citizens, as we said the last time when we were here in the revocation meeting. What is benefiting the people? Is it allowing for this company to come back without insurance? Is it allowing this company to come back without straightening also their workers' compensation requirements, which, for your information, ladies and gentlemen, that information was given to us today. There was 2 major requirements that were asked of for the last meeting was insurance, liability insurance for $5 million, and workers' compensation to the employees. Those employees now also for a whole month have been without work. And if these employees were being considered as employees and registered with, under payroll and paid unemployment benefits, you wouldn't have a situation where you have several drivers with no income at this time. They would have unemployment benefits. So the two questions, the major questions at that time at the revocation meeting was liability insurance to cover those passengers, and number two, workers' comp insurance to cover the employees. Up until today, just a few hours ago, we received this, and in this package, there are contracts that now have been developed just recently, days ago, between this company and the drivers, indicating that the drivers will be considered as self-employed. And it tends to want to appear as circumventing workers' compensation laws, and that I'm very uncomfortable with. So as far as being in compliance and taking all this time, and I wish I could repeat this in Spanish, but taking all this time was not because we wanted to, was because there was two major requirements for this company to allow the public to get on that bus, pay $1.25 or whatever the fare is, and feel safe. And feel safe that they will have the quality that they deserve. So those two requirements, until hours ago, we were given this. So this is not this city council that is holding this back. This is the company that has not complied, and up until this point, I'm still uncomfortable. It's still questionable if we actually are in compliance today, because in fact, are they or are they not independent contractors, and are they still within the requirement to have workers' comp? Another gentleman today said that it should be open to other companies that are willing to operate by handling themselves appropriately. There are out there. My question and the approach, the different people who have approached me is, this is not fair to the other people. I have reviewed this very detailed, and I know that our staff has and our legal department has. And looking at all of this and the differences between what name we're using, when we had a corporation, when the transfer happened, I know that I came in as city council in 2010, and I understand the transfer of ownership did not occur until after Mr. Castro had held office. However, I'm looking at a transfer of ownership that just recently was filled out and completed. So at what point are we really establishing this transfer of ownership? Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm looking at a company that was reborn, because we have a brand new fictitious business name statement, a new transfer of ownership, new insurance under a different name. I'm confused. So legally, are we or are we not really operating with the correct company? And are we or are we not? It's still very questionable. There's really no excuse for what the situation is. I'm uncomfortable with the, I would appreciate, no interruptions, please.
Calma, tranquilo. Ladies and gentlemen, please.
I'm uncomfortable with the name.
Please remain silent. Please remain silent, Mr. Gonzalez. Go ahead.
Sorry. I'm uncomfortable with the timing of the name changes, because if we are allowing this company to become reborn, then we should have opened up this opportunity to other companies as well. Because there has to be fair competition. There is a questionable history as far as how this has been handled. And as far as placing these citizens at risk every single day, I'm not comfortable with that. Therefore, as far as considering that this should have been revoked in the first place, I feel exactly the same way. And no son traves. Somebody said the word traves, that this city council has imposed upon this company. Travas. Sorry, I'm a little pocha. Travas. That's not what this city council is about. This city council is about establishing regulations and trying to follow them. And having companies, teniendo compañías que están regularizadas es lo que se merece la gente. Y eso es lo que nosotros estamos tratando de hacer, es asegurarnos que las regulaciones se sigan, para que cada vez que ustedes se suban a ese camión se sienten con confianza. Así es de que mi punto final es de que lo que estamos ahorita pasando es un asunto que en realidad no fue por culpa de esta ciudad, fue por culpa de una empresa que no llevó a cabo sus responsabilidades. Así es de que entonces, de aquí en adelante, creo que nos debemos de fijar mucho en esa calidad que se merece la gente. Esta ciudad se está progresando en querer traer trabajos, un casino nuevo, un outlet nuevo.
Por favor.
Y esos proyectos Y esos proyectos a la misma vez estamos progresando, pero no podemos retroceder. Entonces,
I'm sorry, Councilman Hurtado, is it possible to maintain English from
Yes,
the
sorry.
council? Thank you.
We have so many different projects coming to the city of Calexico, and I think that as we're trying to progress, we need all different services in this city to go at that same rate. And so I think about the future, a future casino in this city and a future outlet, and to have bus services that are going to arrive there with no regulations whatsoever, it just doesn't go. So I'm very, very worried about that, and I, for myself, cannot support that we continue providing the opportunity to be in business when still at this time, workers' compensation is questionable. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Hurtado. Coming up. Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Ahora,
Don't move too fast.
you have to warm up. You have to warm up first, okay? So easy. All right. We have other attachments that came in this thing, and which I have. Okay. Which one is the medical examiner certificate. Now, is this required for bus drivers?
Yes, that's true. A Class B license requires a medical examination.
Okay, I have Jose Gabriel Mayoral, Class B. Permit, I guess, typo, due to expire on the 25th of October of
Now,
2012.
The taxi permit or
But it says taxi driver permit. Why do they have?
that was a 30-day permit. After his record check comes back, he'll get a full 1 year.
Okay, he has a medical examiner certificate that is due to expire 2/2/2013. What measures will be taken to make sure that this person is still with a current medical examiner certificate?
The buses haven't been undergoing the revision that the taxis do. Taxis, we do it every October. From now on, since we know that they're not PUC and they are under the control of the city, every October they'll go through the same review.
Okay, I have an agreement that was signed, I'm going to guess, recently by the driver and Mr. Jovan. There's no date, there's no cover sheet, irregular. Here's one for somebody else. I'm sorry, Espinosa, Maria Jesus Espinosa Aguilar. Also expired 10/25. Is it her? Maria de Jesus Valdorinos. It says that her medical certificate expiration date, March 8th, 2012. So is this person going to be able to permit to drive?
We'll have to check and see if there's an updated version of that. And obviously they'll be checked before they drive.
You have a Jose Rodriguez, Class B. Driver's medical certificate expiration date, May 15th, 2011. So this person will not be able to drive.
Not if there's not an updated certificate.
Yes. Well, you got a good one here until 2013. Anyway, again, as mentioned by the Mayor Pro Tem, this information was provided to us today. Mr. Jovan Castro, any comments regarding those medical permits? No, this is a good one. Okay. Okay.
There's a TMB program that's called the pool notice.
The what?
Pool notice. They notify Highway Patrol that
as soon as they're not in compliance, I will come and inspect us.
Okay.
Not only
All right,
that,
so-
they have an up-to-date CHP certificate of inspections from May of this year.
No, you're talking about, those certificates of inspections, you're talking about the vehicles.
But it's, they inspect everything, the driver records, everything. See, your page looks a little different than mine does, but, because I don't know if you have an older version or.
The one that's above, on the left side of that page. On the top, it says medical.
Right, but yeah, Jovan, he's.
No, I know what he's talking about.
Okay.
The date, it's when she took it, and it's every two years.
But on the bottom, it says expiration date.
So it's an outdated version. But it's an outdated copy, but I got it. She's good to go.
Okay. She's not the only one. There's one or two other ones.
All right, let me show you a copy of the phone. That's for Jose Alberto. That's a Pumas, and it shows the expiration date.
Medical expires 4/29/13.
So we're good, right?
Yeah, for that driver, yes. You just need to make sure that before that person drives, or any of the ones drive, that they're all current with their records.
Right. Just so you understand, and this is kind of, when you talk about the delays, this is kind of how it's been all along. We've got some documents, then we ended up pulling the documents back. Finally, on Thursday, we had pretty much what we consider to be some draft documents. We had to send them to legal for them to go over each contract to make sure that they were legal and binding, that they're actually, the website from the Secretary of State wasn't updated until Friday to be able to prove that the corporation was intact and considered to be an active status.
Friday.
On Monday, we got together to make sure we had all of our paperwork, which you have together with you now, and that's the paperwork that was unfortunately turned into you today. So when we say that this all was completed as of last week, that is not true. This has been an ongoing thing up until hours before the meeting today. So I beg to differ in the fact that this is some kind of dragging feet, because everything has had to be double checked.
All right, thank you for your
When we look at those things, we call what a pull notice is, and I want to explain a little bit about that because the city also uses that same program. When a driver becomes, when a driver with a Class B, even a Class C, when a driver becomes expired, suspended, something is not in order in their driver's license, the company is immediately notified that there's some kind of irregularity. And so in this particular case, that has not happened. And like I said before, we're going to have to go and we'll have to physically check each of those license statuses before they operate to make sure that they're up to date. It may be that the records that the company have are not the most up to date ones based on everything else we have. But obviously we can check it to the minute and find out what the license status is on those drivers.
Okay. Well, again, the $5 million policy has been met. The corporation now exists. They have presented paperwork for only 5 vehicles, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. But I will say that, and repeat to what has been mentioned before, is that CTS, IARS, under which entity it's identified under, we have to make it clear that it was knowingly operated without all certifications in place, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Being that it was requested at the council meeting on October 1st to come into compliant by today, and obviously congratulations to the Castros for becoming compliant, and becoming compliant only for those 5 units, then city attorney or whoever, can the motion be done to just approve those 5 PCNs that are filed here with the condition that these 5 units be regulated and be in compliance on a daily basis, as per the current municipal code?
Yes, you can. That is a valid that is a valid motion to make. As to the others, you know, as to the others, there should probably be a determination in whatever motion is made about what should happen to them.
Yes,
Whether it's
we
continuing
can
to
bring
sus-
that to the future agenda item.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, so just for clarification with regards to the remaining 10 certificates, they would continue to remain under suspension under that specific motion?
Yes, until we go to the future agenda items.
Okay.
Yes.
Any questions? Anyway, again, the motion is to, I'm sorry?
I have a concern.
Go ahead.
Mr. City Manager, I'm happy that the Castros, according to the chief, have come into compliance, and I want them to be running as soon as possible, like by 9:30. But I'm concerned for the public. We had 9 buses, now we have 5, so we're 4 short. Is there any way, because we spoke about alternatives, is there any way that we can do to meet that shortage, that need?
And Mr. Hodge, that would be part of the future agenda items.
If I understood the motion correctly, and anybody correct me, is that basically you're approving 5 certificates, the rest of them are held in abeyance, in suspension, and that will be the future of a separate topic later on, because obviously it's not on the agenda tonight.
To kind of follow up on what you just said, Mr. Hodge, our business item indicates that there would be a discussion and/or action on revocation/suspension of certificate of public convenience. Therefore, I would propose that if, in fact, it's very apparent that the company is having difficulties, and they will be, they have, with, of course, my opinion that the workers' comp is still questionable, I would like to propose that we revoke the remaining licenses that they're not using and open those licenses up to the rest of the community, the rest of the business owners, so they can have that fair opportunity as well.
So, Councilwoman.
Attorney?
I think with respect to the revocation of the 10 remaining certificates, that's certainly within the realm of the agenda item for tonight. With regards to opening up to public bidding, that would likely require a future agenda item where we would be able to discuss that.
Okay. So I would motion for what I just indicated now is that whatever remaining items, or I'm sorry, permits be revoked and open those for fair opportunity.
Okay, now, we have already a motion on the floor regarding motion to approve the 5 PCNs, those that are filed here with the conditions, these 5 units be regulated and be in compliance on a daily basis as per the current municipal code. That would be one motion. Now, obviously, we have to go through that motion first, unless this thing is adopted, but I would rather just go ahead and keep them separate.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I believe you made the motion initially. Now, procedurally, there are certain ways that motions that are brought that are separate from the first motion, but it wasn't clear to me from Councilwoman Hurtado how she's characterizing that motion. So if she's amending the motion, if she's making a substitute motion, or if it's entirely separate motion.
It may be more logical to allow for the first issue to be voted upon. Once that occurs, then I can bring back the other motion.
If you're fine with that, then we can go ahead with Mr. Mayor's motion. And just one other point of clarification, it should also include the fact that it refers to the specific certificate numbers and also the specific bus IDs, so that we are clear that the 5 buses that you're allowing are the 5 that are allowed under the insurance according to their bus ID numbers.
The attachments identify, in the insurance certificate, identifies the vehicles.
Yes.
So this would be in effect.
Yes, and we will include that in the resolution.
Okay. All right, there is that one motion on the floor. Is there a second? No, the motion to approve the 5 PCNs, et cetera.
I'll second it for discussion.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, or maybe the chief, Would the inspection on a daily basis be something practical and equitable? Because we have various bus lines in the city of Calexico.
Mr. Moreno, as I mentioned before, that this bus service did operate without compliance for an extended period of time. And now that this motion is because of that, as a condition, obviously Chief Newjar could either do it on a daily basis or extend it, but to give council a report
And
that.
this would be something practical that you would, okay.
That's correct. Obviously, once we know dates of expiration of driver's licenses, medical certificates, stuff like that, once we have that, we can put a tickler file together, and so we know to check it on certain dates to make sure the compliance stays in effect.
Okay, that was the only question I had, Mayor.
I have a question.
Yes.
Jovan? Yeah. I really don't want to, I mean, she makes a good point about revoking the others, but I really don't want to do that. But I'm very concerned, Jovan, about the maximum service to the public. 5 buses are not 9, so there's still a shortage. How's your planning? Will you have 9 buses in operation soon?
See, the economy has been going down the lines. There's already Pearl Valley Transit, there's the senior service. So it's not, I mean, as a company, it's not, it's not profitable, and there's not that, I mean, I consider it, there's not a huge demand. I mean, we can operate perfectly with 5 buses. If the need be, we can go to 6 or 7 as the demand increases. But, I mean, we've been running the show for a while, and we've noticed that it's been declining. So imagine paying $5 million for 7, 8, 9, 10 buses, but if we're not using the buses, it's kind of hard. I mean, we've calculated that it's not beneficial. I mean, there are 40 passenger buses.
Okay, I respect your opinion, but maybe at a later date, I'd like to hear the citizens' opinion if you need more buses or if everything's fine. But, okay, thank you.
Along those lines, with the capacity of the buses, would that be also enforced? The number of passengers?
You mean minimum or maximum?
Well, what is the maximum? You said
Well, it
40.
depends, like 30, I think 37?
Capacities range between 37 and 42. Okay. State law says that as long as there is a rail where
Correct.
people can hold on and they don't cross the white line where the driver's at, the entrance at, anybody standing behind that line, perfectly legal.
And this is a public transportation line, just like you would see in the city. And they have those same abilities.
Okay.
But just real quick, I want to because we keep talking about it, but I think we're crossing lines here. If in the fact that you do decide that you are going to look and see whether the transportation services are being met, that by code, that requires a whole different hearing, and it's not something that can be decided tonight.
No, I understand.
Understand. Future agenda item.
It's just a concern.
All right, there's a motion. I don't know. Give me a minute. There was a motion by yours truly and a second by Councilman Moreno. Go ahead and press the button to display your vote. Oh, what's the motion again? Motion to approve 5 PCNs, those that are filed here, with a condition these 5 units be regulated and be in compliance on a daily basis as per the current municipal code. Please press the button to display your vote. Okay, passes 3-1. Mr. Castro? No son trabas, but make sure that all these items are taken care of. And get your service back online.
Thank you.
As soon as
Thank you,
possible.
council. Thank you very much.
Okay, now, in the same item. Sí, ya. Ya se la aprobó. Mayor Pro Tem Hurtado, you had a motion?
Yes, my motion then is to revoke the remaining to the name of
PCN.
to the name of
the name of it.
Revoke the remaining PCNs in order to be able to release them to the remaining amount of business owners that might be interested in providing services. Services.
Mr.
Yes,
Mayor, if I
yes.
may. I think that if there were to be an effort to revoke the remaining certificates, I think that would be better handled at a different meeting, specifically giving
So-
Mr. Castro notice of that future date.
As a future agenda item?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll address it then.
Actually, I think what I would recommend is, rather than a future agenda item, I would say continue the suspension of those until a set date at which the council could consider whether or not to revoke them for not operating, not being in compliance with the code, not following the routes specified, and not having insurance. So
Well-
that would be my recommendation.
Okay, well, right now, the motion can be made for those other 10 PCNs to continue that suspension.
Yes.
I'd like to
Okay,
add something.
then I
if
clarify
may.
my motion. My motion therefore would be to
If I may,
suspend the remaining amount of certificates of public convenience until such time that we have a meeting specifically on a possible revocation.
Yes, that's appropriate.
Okay.
I'd like to add something.
I'll second that
if I may.
and go ahead for discussion.
Yes, we have those certificates. We can have them in non-operation status, and we should be able to have, if, like my son said, if the services at this moment, they're not sufficient, it's like when you have an employee and the hours, they need to cut the hours of the employee, you don't fire them because there's not much work, but you cut their hours. So if we have the certificates, why can't we have those buses on non-operational and recorded with the DMV, like we can do? And then if we need to have those services back up, we can insure them and get them going. We have those certificates, so I don't see why you want to revoke our certificates. Have you revoked the certificates for the taxis? Not always are they all running, and you have given, the city of Calexico has given out the certificate to the taxis. So why do you want to revoke ours? Our buses can break down, we can put another one in. So why do you want to revoke our buses? And
As a reminder,
non-operative,
as a reminder, Mrs. Castro, revoking these PCNs means that you can again submit the request for proposal to be able to extend that service.
It
Right
doesn't
now,
seem that
right-
way.
It's gonna make the process longer, so there's a
No.
need.
Yes.
Bring them, like, let's say we're running 5, and in December you need 7, 8.
We can insure 'em.
That'll stop us, that'll limit us from extending our service.
Exactly.
We don't want to limit the service, we want to extend it need be, so there's no need to revoke, I don't understand
where you want to revoke
Right now,
them.
they're being continued to continue the suspension of the other 10.
Do you
Yep.
do the same with the taxis? You know, come on, you saying fairness? Be fair. This is fairness. And we're talking about a business that has those permits, and if at times needs them, we can put them back in as long as we get them back in order. And they can be inspected by the chief of police and reported to you. So if they're going to
Mrs.
be on a
Castro,
daily basis,
Mrs.
check.
Castro, I will add that if by the time nothing has happened with any other service or nothing else comes up, and you can show compliance to the chief, it can be brought back to council while
Okay,
they're
we
under.
have shown compliance today, so that's what I'm saying. For you to put down
Well,
that you want to
we're
revoke it.
going forward on its suspension. Continue suspension of the other 10. Okay, they're not being, she
And you're
didn't
calling
motion
that
for
fairness?
revocation.
And you're calling that fairness? You're
Why
calling
wouldn't
that
it be?
fairness?
I believe
Well,
that-
are you checking the taxis? And the way that they're
Mrs.
being
Castro,
charged?
Ms.
Is it fairness?
Ms. Castro, this issue was brought up because of the.
I understand, sir.
Of the insurance.
And we have become compliance. I understand.
But you also had a long period where you were not in compliance and still servicing the public.
Okay.
Let's think about that, but enough discussion has been this. If it needs to be addressed in the other services, this council will, or the next one. Anyway, there's a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Hurtado to continue the suspension of the 10 PCNs. I have second. Any other comments by the council members?
Discussion, so if this suspension continues and they come into compliance when the need arises,
You can check, ask the city attorney for that one.
if the suspension continues and they come into into compliance when the need arises during the holiday season, would they be allowed to come before the council for approval on that item?
There is nothing about that proposed resolution that would keep them from coming to council to have the council change its mind about the suspension if they come into compliance. That's right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. They can come back.
But again, concerned about meeting the needs of the public. I understand your arguments now, Mrs. Castro, and if they're non-operable, but they're there, and at any moment you can use them to meet the needs of the public, I don't think revoking them are necessary, because as you know, we always have these bureaucratic processes, so that's my position.
The motion is to continue to suspend, not to revoke it. Okay, now, press the button. Señor Preciado. Go ahead, everybody, council members, please press the button to display your vote. Okay, what do we do? Chief, attorneys, we're at a deadlock 2-2. Next step.
Flip a coin?
I think we should get some clarification here because of the way that the previous resolution was worded from the meeting back on October 1st. I believe that resolution talked about how today was the deadline to come in compliance, or else it would result in revocation, which is actually a harsher remedy than suspension. So Councilman Moreno and Hodge may want to consider their vote, because it's possible that that resolution could be interpreted as resulting in a revocation if there's no action taken on the remainder of the 10
Because of the
certificates.
deadline of tonight.
That's
Good
right.
night.
And I would look to my colleague to see if that's his understanding as well.
That's correct. The way the resolution that was approved at the October 1st meeting reads is that unless the PCNs are brought into compliance, they would be revoked at midnight tonight. So so unless there is some other resolution, that appears to be what would happen.
So right now, for them to keep the PCNs, the 10 PCNs, then suspension would be in order unless,
That's correct.
okay. Any questions, Mr. Hodge and Mr. Moreno? By voting in favor of the continued suspension, they continue to have the PCNs under their name.
Okay, and available if the need arises.
Yeah.
They
Well-
can petition.
The immediate concern right now is that, yes, it will be continued under their name.
What?
It will continue to be under their name. They will continue to.
All right.
And I say, right now, until further notice, they have the right of first
How
refusal.
cumbersome is getting the buses out if they're suspended, if they need them? Is this a big deal, or can it be done quickly? What now? All right, so if we don't vote on suspension, they're revoked?
Yes. It's a
Castro family, do
continued.
you understand that?
It's a continued suspension.
So it's, like you said, it's not as harsh as revocation.
That's
That is
right.
correct.
And that's what the last motion was on October 1.
That's
Yes.
right. And so as the mayor has explained, under the suspension, the certificates would still remain under the name of the Castro family. And I don't want to speak for them, but that seems like it's a better situation than revocation, because then they would have to apply for the process again to
okay.
get those certificates back.
Okay, but they'll hang on to those certificates
Yes.
with the suspension?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Make a motion.
Motion was made. There's been a second.
Wait, clarification, what exactly is the motion?
Okay, go ahead, Maitza. Mayor Pro Tem. Your question?
Yeah, what is the motion? Are we renewing the motion, or are we considering that earlier motion on the suspension?
I haven't changed.
No, he needs to hear you. Say it.
Yes.
My motion is that there be a suspension at this moment, being that you have now given us that advice. a motion to continue the suspension on the unused
PCNs.
PCNs with a future hearing. That was my motion.
Okay.
Is that okay, both attorneys?
Yes, that is a legitimate option, yes.
Okay.
So,
And the future, the future hearing would also serve for our staff to look into what the needs assessment, that as far as having an opinion, the opinion should be worked on by our staff and possible authorities
so
elsewhere.
If we vote no on suspension, then that means we're voting yes on
Revocation.
revocation.
Functionally,
which is a
yes.
harsher situation.
That's correct. Functionally, yes.
But again, under suspension, if they needed those buses to go, what's the timeline? I just want to know that.
Okay, as currently phrased under this motion, they would have to come back to council after they get the insurance. You could phrase it differently to simply reinstate it upon insurance approved by the chief and the city manager, which would avoid it coming back to council. But as the motion is currently phrased, they would have to come, they'd have to get the insurance, and then they'd have to come back before you to get approval.
They would have to come back to us?
Yes,
It couldn't
correct.
be a done deal with the chief?
You'd have to rephrase the motion.
Right.
But we could have a special meeting, right? We don't have to wait for a Tuesday meeting.
Yeah, you
Mr.
you only
Hodge,
need a
if
24-hour
you would
notice.
suspend them, they would be hold idle, so if the
Excuse me,
need-
sir?
If you guys, I'm sorry, if the council
Ya
would
están
choose.
aprobados, señora. Ya tiene sus servicios.
Sí,
But
sí,
I'm learning
sí, sí, sí,
Spanish
sí.
by looking at the sign over and over.
Para que descanse, ya no tiene que
Ahorita van a
hacer eso.
comenzar.
Jovan, I want to listen
A
to
las
what you're
6
saying.
mañana, a las 6, a las 6.
Jovan,
If you would suspend them, you would keep them idling.
Okay.
So if you need be to suspend them.
Okay.
And as the need increases, we can come back to council and increase the number of
and
service.
we could do that and expedite that in a
Yes.
swiftly manner.
Yes.
Or the other item was allow the chief and the city manager to make an executive decision. Do you want to consider that?
I would rather come back to council.
You'd rather come back
If
to
you
council?
come back to council, it only requires a 24-hour
Okay, Jovan,
notice.
okay.
Okay.
Special meeting.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem, once again with your motion.
Motion is to continue the suspension on the unused licenses with a revocation hearing, possible revocation hearing or discussion on the 7th of November.
Why
Okay.
does revocation have to come out?
Since we do need to address the question that you just had, Mr. Hodge, about the additional needs, then
No, never mind. Yes, attorneys?
So, just for clarification, we've added for the matter to come back for consideration of revocation on November 7th. Is that correct?
Why are we revoking?
Why would he, yeah, I thought we're just suspending, and when it's needed, we get the ball rolling. That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I want. Why have a meeting when we're revoking? Revoking is bad. Go ahead, Jovan.
My
Thank you,
question
Mayor Hodge.
again is, why revocation? Why not suspend or come back, need be, and bring them back into play, into operation? Why revocation? Where does that come?
I'll tell you why. I'm still uncomfortable, like I said, with the workers' comp. Okay.
Ms. Hurtado, your city attorneys have approved
You're asking me
it.
a question.
Yes. Ms. Hurtado.
And our city attorneys say a lot of different things, and this council has the ability to be able to question and ask
course,
for the
of
questions.
course, of course.
And again, your items were delivered today, so there wasn't any time to review. And so, to us.
yeah.
So, as far as a revocation
Please.
is concerned, the question is due to the trend and the severity of the violations, then I believe I've had quite a number of this community approach me.
Go ahead.
We need to be fair for other businesses as well. If there has been severe
Please.
violations, thank you. If there have been severe violations, I really do consider, when other companies have approached me and told me why are we, and there is not just one company in this city. You just heard a declaration from someone who
There
says
is,
that he's never been out of compliance, has his workers' comp, has air conditioning in the unit, and has his business license paid. All those items that were just remedied just recently within the last couple of weeks. So I believe that's why I'm backing up why I'm saying that. And why I feel that at this opportunity that we are here now, we should open up for the rest of the businesses out there that may want to have a crack at it, that apparently there is some issues going on in the company that hasn't allowed you to be in compliance.
But
That's serious.
We are compliance.
And
We are in
so,
compliance. They've said it.
in the spirit of fairness to other businesses, that is the reason behind why I'm trying to do that. So thank you.
Okay.
And like Mr. Hodge said, I'm sorry.
Okay,
and
so
Brooke County-
in discussion with regard to the motion, then we're going to go ahead and I will modify the motion to suspend the remaining certificates, suspension only.
I'll second that.
Suspension only,
Suspension only.
because I'm getting confused.
Okay, council members, please press the button to display your vote. Passes 4-0. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Maritza Hurtado.
All right, we'll go to item number 8. It's an informational item. We'll give everybody a moment to excuse themselves. Bye, Mr. Willie Hermosillo. Good to see you here at the council meetings. Hey, John.
Okay, I missed the debate.
All right.
When you stop talking.
Okay, what am I going to have to back myself up?
Immediately revocation.
Because as far as I'm concerned, once they give,
Mr. Servin, if you can close the door after Mrs. Preciado and Mr. Preciado pass by. Oh, you're back. No, I was giving direction. You'll go, but you said that this one direction is just what she was giving her. Now. Okay.
Adios.
In fact, it was mentioned about pursuing the issue. Go back to 6? Okay. All right, General Fund Departments, information items number 8, status report on Public Safety Dispatch Center. Any comments by the council members? There's no vote here, it's just informational items.
Yes.
Acknowledged receipt, go ahead, Mr. Hodge.
Well, I've brought this up several times, and I know the council's been very concerned. And so I'm very happy about what it says here. This was my main concern. The dispatch center, and it's been corrected, currently has sufficient manpower coverage to allow for 2 dispatchers to work at each shift. That was my concern, Chief, and thank you so much for following up and getting that done. So I'm very happy about this.
Okay. If no other comments?
Moving
Number
right
8.
along.
Number 9, acknowledge receipt of September 2012 special analysis of the delinquent business licenses. Mr. Quinn, you removed the list, the names of the businesses. Your summary was good, but what happened to the list of the businesses?
Running out of paper.
Oh, don't worry, we're going electronic pretty soon.
Mayor and members of the council, regarding the business license list, the list was presented at the last council meeting on October the 2nd or 4th, whenever that was. And this analysis is done independent of all of that because of the special requests that have been coming in the past regarding remedies for enforcement and solutions for collections. And we thought it was important that we put all of that into perspective, because to start or continue with some action could be detrimental to the overall effort and success. So we broke it out. With your permission, I'll just go over very briefly. I realize it's late. But we did go over this and broke it out into 3 different areas. We said, first of all, let's take a look at what is in fact the delinquent base, and let's put it in perspective as a piece, or what it's part of the whole of the business license file is. The business license file being the sum of all the business licenses that are active currently. And to give you the number, it's 2,644 licenses. Of that 2,644, there are 712 delinquent licenses. 351 of those are for swap meet licenses. 124 are out of town, and the remainder, 237, are within the city limits. To break that down into percentages, the out of town are the lowest at 20%, 20.7%, swap meets at 32.8%, and the city, within the city limits, 46.6%. So it tells us, going through that exercise, it tells us that we may want to have more than one action, rather than do a blanket coverage of a letter or one enforcement effort. We might want to split the strategy, may be different for each group, or multiple types of activity for a given group. In addition to that, we said, okay, let's take a look at those broken down, the same 3 categories broken down by volume, or dollar volume, I should say. And that is even more revealing, in that the swap meet licenses, the delinquent ones, make up only $88,000. I realize that's a lot of money, but it's almost the same as the 237 licenses for the city limits. So you with the swap meet licenses, you're looking at a body of licenses numbering 351, which is 13% of the total, and it's generating the smallest amount of money, and it probably is the highest risk in terms of being able to make any collections. And when you separate it, we split it again into the older accounts, the last 3 years, 9, 10, and 11, and it appears that the swap meet licenses, if we said today, let's take them to collection, experience would say that you may not even be able to get them collected, because a collection agency has a very low return on these because of their value, and they're so old, and they just have a lot of other characteristics about them that are just not conducive to collection. They may take them, but your ability to get a return on that collection could be very low. So what we're saying is that we know what the universe looks like. We know that there are some that are more amenable to some aggressive collection, and there are some that are not so amenable to that type of activity. So it looks like the conclusion is that we have probably a lot that we may not be able to do very much with. We can try to go to collection with the swap meet group, and then what's left, we should either decide whether we're going to send those to collection, whether we're going to have a more aggressive enforcement policy, whether we will continue with letters or continue with phone calls. Whatever the activity happens to be, we should go ahead and go through with it, but on a selective basis based on these groups and on the findings within the groups. And we can even, if we had to, we could break it down into the types of businesses or a zone in the city, any number of ways it can be broken down.
Well, we still need to take the first step. And this first step yet has not been taken. I understand that from the different sectors, you might have to address them in a different manner. That I understand, and I'm not going to argue that. But we still need to take that first step. And I would hope that that this next step will be where the presentation of this type of a letter or whatso have you, a sample be brought forward before the council at the next meeting. But we need to take that first step. It seems like as long as I've been here, there has been a form of reluctance to take an aggressive approach or more aggressive approach, and we do need to take that aggressive approach. Otherwise, you're not going to collect estimated, what is it, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. Now, that some of these businesses don't exist, I understand that. But until we take an aggressive approach, your department is not going to know what the reality is. It's going to continue to keep going on and go on and go on. So, anyway, it was an informational item. I did ask before that the listing of the businesses that are delinquent with their payment of business license be included at every council agenda. So we have 2, 3 more that I'll still be a part of, pending, of course, re-election. So I'm going to ask you to make sure that that report is on every agenda, at least until then. The new council can then make a decision if they want to see that report ongoing or not.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
I also agree with what you said, Mr. Quinn, that there does need to have, we do need to have much more aggressive collection through enforcement. And I believe that before you were here, we were trying to have that happen. And so hopefully you'll bring in a new perspective as to how that can happen, together with Mr. Morales and his staff, and go out there and be aggressive. Put some teeth into it, is what you said.
Yes.
So,
I'm sorry, may I ask just one more clarification? We have had a letter in some form. Apparently, if I'm not mistaken, it's been presented to council either at a meeting or informally. Are you asking us to present the letter to the council before we send it?
To show it as a sample letter on the agenda as an informational item, so that way the businesses that are delinquent will have a copy, everybody have a public copy of what they expect to receive.
We will bring you at the next meeting a sample of the letter as well as a collections policy, so that we then would have a policy that would identify the different avenues that we are trying to utilize in order to collect, and there'd be a definite date as to which time, if we cannot collect, then they would be turned over to collections or collections agency to collect. Because what's happening is these remain on our books, and after a while, as Mr. Quinn has said, they're really not realistic that we're going to collect them. If they're so old, even a collection agency will not even take them because they're no longer valid in their minds, so they will not even make an attempt to collect. So we will bring that policy. I won't belabor the point here. So we'll bring that policy back as well as a sample letter at their next meeting.
Okay, I'm just going to say this, that the report shows 600,000, more or less, total, the 4 different sectors?
The total delinquencies
Yes.
is 712.
Okay. If we go with this process, once you begin to eliminate the ones that are no longer in business, then you're going to get closer to that real figure. Once you get closer to that real figure, then it's even going to be less than that because you're going to be able to collect on everybody. So the thing is the public transparency this is where every business is at. They are meeting their commitments. You know, we're having businesses coming in demanding services and they're not meeting their commitments. So this is what needs to be done, and I'm looking forward for it to start. Okay, that's item number 9. Again, acknowledge receipt. I'd like to go back to item number 6. Council did not make, no direction was given to the city manager either to proceed.
I believe we did.
Well,
There
that's what
wasn't a
I thought.
vote. I think it's better to give a vote if the city manager doesn't intend to bring this back to
Well,
council.
because it said direction, I didn't think we had to go through a vote. So, council members, item number 6, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Mr. Hodge, second by Mr. Moreno. Please press the button to display your vote. Direction given 4-1. Okay, future agenda items, Mr. Hodge.
One second, please.
See, you need to go e-file, Mr. Hodge.
Yeah. I believe that we have to try very hard to maintain employee morale. I see that as a priority in leading the city becoming more efficient and productive. I don't think that's just my opinion. There's been studies made that morale is extremely important. On that note, I've repeatedly requested this. I heard that it was in the works, and others have backed me up here on this council. But please, can we, as soon as possible, have an employee, again, I want for the future agenda, to hopefully vote on having a quarterly employee recognition for our employees. They're working very hard, they're understaffed, they're concerned about the future of their jobs. Sometimes I think we're unfair here, including myself, on the demands that we make. And then we realize, or I realize, that they're understaffed.
Take your time, Mr. Hodge.
Okay. I will, because it's an important item.
It's
And
slow
besides,
suckers
the
of
debate is
America.
over. So, please, let's have a quarterly recognition. But more than a certificate, here's an idea, Mr. City Manager. Let's give them a little money for the service. It used to be, I heard in past practice, 100, 150. Okay, here we go. We don't have money. Well, how about this? There's lots of applications coming in for yard sales. Why can't we charge a little fee for the process? I was told for the cost of paper and logging. Put that in a little piggy bank for the
yard sales?
employees so that they can use that for like decorations for Halloween and Christmas. I don't think this is trivial. You don't want a cold, impersonal, and stark place. You need team effort. You need people working and cooperating with each other. So this is not trivial. Also, I was understood in past practice that employees were able to decorate, and if we had that little extra money, they wouldn't have to come out of their pocket. Unless, correct me if I'm wrong, and they were able to decorate on during work time when it was appropriate, so that they didn't have to spend time coming in early or afterwards. Couldn't we really see about restoring that past practice? So that's my suggestion for the future agenda. One more, Mr. Savine, please tell me, am I gonna get my request, or tell me why, if not, why you feel it's unrealistic? But again, here it is, an action plan, sir, on roads and streets. You decide the timeline, 2 to 5 years, but I would like to visually, on paper, see a list of what you believe in the department, a priority of streets and roads to be serviced, repaired. I saw the master plan. But sir, all it was a big, long list of roads. It did not tell me which one we were going to work on. Let's plan, let's execute. So I'd like to see what we call an education and action plan, a list of priorities and a timeline. It can be tentative, but a timeline based on your expertise and insight. I don't call the shots there, but if we could have that so that we could say, how's it going on that street? Are we getting ready to work on it?
How about this? How about get one of the commissions to put an action plan together, perhaps the beautification, perhaps planning, one of the commissions that can probably give some input?
But it would have to be aligned with what they see.
Right, of course, but it would be a type of workshop, if you will. That way, we'd get input from community members.
But
And don't forget to include Cole Road, okay?
yes, please.
You promised? October?
Even, this would be something good for the planning commission.
Yes, October. He said by, that it was gonna be completed by this month, so.
We met with the contractor today.
So you're gonna give us a report on the first meeting in November? Wow.
All right. So can that be done, sir?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Was that your rendition of the Slow Talkers of America, the way you make that presentation?
I don't know, just, it's late at night, should be sleepy.
Mr. Moreno?
Real quickly, check this out, Bill. Real quickly, the graffiti abatement that I spoke of earlier, and possibly the water tank, and possibly the 98 Andrade, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. Mr. Castro?
Yes, will you please take care of the parks and retention basin with, to maintain those parks? Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Castro. Mayor Pro Tem Hurtado.
I just wanted to briefly explain my vote that I just did right now in not supporting the citizen request management system, is that the last time when we talked about this, we asked about where the money would come from, but because there is so much needs out there, parks, recreation, all this and all that that's been spoken of even today, I believe that we should be able to use our money in much more necessary issues. So that's the reason why I voted that way. Let's see. And as a future agenda item, I think not to forget a report of the disbursements, which what we looked at today. Chief's not here right now, but there's a lot to be. I think we need to discuss this report a little more closely with the chief, and a review for next time, that we have a better presentation and better information. And also because I do have a question that when these organizations are selling these fireworks, that if there is an audit in between that type of transactions, because what I looked at, that paperwork didn't look, like we said, it's handwritten, scratched, this, that, and the other, and it just doesn't feel right for managing that much money, because I think that one of those organizations sold up to $20,000. So I would like to see if you would be in agreement to continue looking at that and perfect that system. And as a future agenda item, not to forget, a needs assessment, Mr. Mark Baza, if you can participate with us in somehow or another understanding if we do in fact have a future need with everything that's occurred today. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, okay. Point number 1, already done. Court enforcing delinquencies in regards to business license fees. Number 2, also taken care of. Okay. I will request, as everybody knows, U.S. Congressman Bob Filner is not running for re-election for his seat. He is running for mayor for the city of San Diego. I strongly believe that U.S. Congressman Bob Filner, like Assemblyman Manuel Perez, has always been very active in our community, not only besides the region. I would like to see some form of a recognition, a plaque, that makes sure that all signatures are there, well, all signatures, all names be included as far as the council members. Not for the first meeting in November, but the second meeting, since I'm sure Mr. Filner will be busy with his own elections in November 6th. So can we make sure that it does get done and well done? So as a confirmation, who, Mr. City Manager, will be able to confirm with Mr. Filner that if he can be present. I did talk to him, he appreciates it, and he did ask me not to do it on the first meeting.
Okay, we will verify with him. We'll catch him in between speeches in San Diego and see if he can commit to coming in on that particular day.
Yeah, he knows this.
Yes, he does. Okay, that's it?
No, Mr. Mayor.
You said you were finished.
Want to apologize, we should apologize to Mayor Pro Tem for keeping her up so late, because, ladies and gentlemen, today is a special day for a very special lady. Today is Mayor Pro Tem's birthday, so let's give it up for her. That's it, no more talking.
And just to remind you all, today is my 10th birthday, because this year I am a 10th year cancer survivor. So, and in 5 more years I have a quinceañera.
All right, meeting adjourned.